дівченьку у зеленому саду. Чи не вийде дівчинонька рано вранці по ладу? Маруся, раз, два, три, калина чорнявая дівчина, саду я вирвала. Маруся, раз, два, три, калина чорнявая дівчина, саду я вирвала. Вийшла дівчинонька рано вранці воду брать, а за нею козаченько веде коня напувать. Маруся, раз, два, три, калина чорнявая дівчина, саду я вирвала. Маруся, раз, два, три, калина чорнявая дівчина, саду я вирвала.
Прийшли окупанти до нас в Україну, форма новенька, воєнні машини, та трохи поплавився їх інвентар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російські танкісти сховались в кущі, щоб лаптем посьорбати довбані щі, та трохи у чах перегрівся навар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Приперли зі сходу до нас барани для восстановлення
великої страни.
Найкращий пастух баранячих отар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Їх доводи всяке озброєння різне, потужні ракети, машини залізні, у нас на всі доводи є коментар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Вони захопити хотіли нас зразу, а ми зачаїли на орків образу з російських бандитів, робить примар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Російська поліція справи заводить, там вбивцю рашистів ніяк не знаходить, хто винен, що в нашому полі глухар. Байрактар, Байрактар. Веде пропаганду кремлівський урод, слова пропаганди ковтає народ, тепер нове слово знає цар.
Байрактар. Байрактар. Байрактар.
Байрактар.
Байрактар.
Forever to the future's untold.
Yes.
The least Greek army sends its regards.
Hello, everyone. I'm the Enforcer, and I'm accompanied by Enforcer Matt.
And good evening, folks. It's Enforcer Matt, and welcome back to day 1061 of the news, and of course, a Sunday night fundraiser stream, and we have big news yet again tonight. We've heard of more Ukrainian attacks on crucial Russian oil facilities. We've also seen Israeli hostages freed, and also Ukraine prepares a new possible push in the Russian Kursk region. And it's good to see you all once again.
And of course, we're going to be covering the past 24 hours of news from around the world, as we've been able to get some major news today that Ukrainian armed forces have been able to inflict serious losses onto Russian Federation armed forces within the area of the Kursk front today, near to the town of Suja. We have also been able to hear that simultaneously a major attack has occurred on more Kaluga infrastructure within the Kaluga region, as Ukrainian drones have been heard over the area and air defense fire has been active over the past few hours. Meanwhile, around the remainder of the Ukrainian front lines, heavy battles have ensued from north to south, east to west. We've been able to see that Ukrainian armed forces have once again been able to inflict incredibly decent casualties onto the Russian forces and once again hold the lines for the past 24 hours once again. We have also been able to hear in other news around the world that within the Middle East, the Israelis have been able to see that 3 of the hostages have been released by Hamas, and at the same time, there has been the opening of fuel and food transfers into the area of the Gaza Strip, which appear to already have been hijacked by Hamas, and they are now controlling the food and fuel assets. We have also been able to hear that at the exact same time within Syria, the Russian Federation's recovery fleet is still waiting on standby outside the port of Tartus, as the Syrian interim government is giving no permissions at this point for the Russian Federation to be able to return into the port of Tartus and recover the hundreds of Russian military vehicles and the thousands of Russian military personnel that are still stuck inside the Russian Federation at this point, with no hope of escape currently because of the lack of the Syrian interim government's permission for the Russians to be able to get their forces out of the country. Meanwhile, we've also been able to see that within the Islamic Republic of Iran, the Islamic Republic is now requesting permission and help from the Russian Federation in producing new nuclear reactors to power their energy grid. An incredibly suspicious sort of an ordeal or an event by the Islamic Republic of Iran, as it has been seen in the past that the Islamic Republic of Iran does not largely create a large amount of nuclear power plants or really use them for the exact purpose stated on the tin for electricity production. But nevertheless, we do have a massive amount of news tonight, and of course tonight is the Sunday night fundraiser for none other than Nova Ukraine, an amazing nonprofit helping out folks in Ukraine behind the lines. So if you would like to support, the goal is $2,500, and hopefully we'll be able to see that more folks inside of Ukraine will be helped through the combined efforts of the entirety of the Least Spring Army. And with that, it is time for us to get on into the major news tonight, moving us directly on in to the Kursk Oblast. As many of y'all know, the Kursk Oblast has been a significant battlefield for some time at this point. The Ukrainians were advancing into this area approximately 4 to 5 months ago with the hopes of taking a large amount of ground and really tying up a great deal of Russia's combat-capable power in this area instead of on the actual front lines inside of occupied Ukraine. That appears to have been largely successful, and over the course of those months, we have seen that the Ukrainian offensive reached out to its actual maximum height, but at this point, the Russians have been able to push the Ukrainians back into a smaller defensive perimeter around the area of Suja. However, the Ukrainians appear to be, according to Russian Federation intelligence, amassing more forces in the tens of thousands to conduct a new offensive into the area of the Kursk Oblast, and that is supposed to be happening days after the significant and blistering losses that the Russian Federation took today at the hands of Ukrainian forces, as we were able to see that the Russian armed forces within this area may be in the worst conditions that we have ever seen so far. We were able to hear that in major news today, a Russian Lieutenant Colonel, Yevgeny Tikhonovich, was killed today, and he was the commander of the 22nd Motorized Rifle Regiment, and the regiment is a part of the Russian brigade structure. This is more so of a clerical or administrative level sort of a command at this point inside of most Russian Federation units, although he may have been in one of the older legacy divisions of the Russian armed forces. Some of them do exist, and for this reason, he may have been an actual field commander of the 22nd Motorized Rifle Regiment near to the front lines in some sort of an operational headquarters. We have not been able to get the exact details and information about where he actually died, but we will be getting you all the exact details of how he died right here. This is coming from a Russian military blogger who posted the information about his death today, and they stated, "We express our condolences to the family and friends of Evgeny Viktorovich Tikhonovich, who gave his life defending the residents of the Kursk region. Lieutenant Colonel Tikhonovich, Evgeny Viktorovich, I'm not going to say his name a single time, that is just too long, served as deputy commander of the 22nd Motorized Rifle Regiment on the infantry fighting vehicle of the on the infantry fighting vehicle of the Motorized Rifle Division." So I'm guessing in the entire division, they only had one infantry fighting vehicle, and he was on it. Of the 44th Army Corps, of the Joint Strategic Command, of the Leningrad Military District, of the Motorized Rifle Regiment, of the Guards Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade. Our fellow countryman was 41 years old. Farewell to the hero.
I gotta tell you, man, that was like freaking like word soup right there about what he was actually like commanding and stuff like that. That was wild.
Wait, hang on. Let me go get the, let's see, official title of Idi Amin. Let me go get that really quickly. Here we go. Yeah. Oh, man. This seems like this description here, Matthew, of what this guy was is like the official title of Idi Amin, who was the dictator of Uganda for a while. And let me make sure that we get the title correct. His Excellency, President for Life, Field Marshal Al-Haji Dr. Idi Amin VC, DSO, MC, Lord of all the beasts of the earth and fishes of the seas, and conqueror of the British Empire and Africa in general, and Uganda in particular. That title seems to be
Uganda in particular. Man, that's the most peculiar title I've ever read. That guy's extremely humble, by the way.
Man, and here's another meme, right? Here's another meme. Idi Amin, President of Uganda, and then it goes into the full title, and he looks a lot happier. You know, it's like that. What do you call it, man? The Dre meme or something like that. The Drake meme. It's like that one.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty much the same thing. But beyond that,
I gotta say, I wouldn't want to be known as Lord of the Beast. Personally, I would not want to have that title. But you know, to each his own.
Man, he lets out the beast inside item. But beyond that, a farewell to the hero will take place on January 20th, which is tomorrow, from 10 to 10:30 in the Ritual Hall of IP Gordiv. That is a specific IP specific to the Russian version of Disney called Disnorovovich. The defender of the fatherland will be buried with full military honors in the cemetery of the village of Sizaya. We were also able to see as well the official Russian post that was made by this military blogger, but nevertheless giving us clear and definitive information that the Russian Federation has lost another significant commander of an entire regiment-sized unit within this area today, which is showing us that at least in terms of command loss today, there has been a significant blow dealt. We have also been able to see that the Ukrainian 95th Air Assault has continued to hit the Russian Federation's armed forces within the region. Chad music ensues. But we were able to see the drones hitting the Russian APCs as they were moving along their way. And it looks like the video is buffering here. That's a shocker. But we are also able to see them hit another command BMD. We are also able to see them hitting a couple of more Russian APCs and supply trucks here as well. We now see them going after some specific Russian soldiers.
They were actually spaced out for once. What a shock.
Oh, those weren't. Those weren't right there.
They think that scraggly little tree line gives them some type of cover. They'd be better off literally standing out in the middle of the field and at least get some fresh air.
Man, I'm telling you, they really would. They'd be like, man, it's nice to have some fresh air. But instead, they hide under the trees, where the drones still get them fairly easy, picking them like grapes from the vine.
They jumped up from the family picnic and took off.
You know, Matthew, you know what? I was just saying that the Russians were being picked from the vine there, much like grapes. But you know who really does grapes the best?
Who's that? Paul Masson?
Oh,
no, not Paul Masson. No.
But moving on from that and out of that clip, we are going to be moving on a little bit down the line a little bit, because while y'all are thinking, well, you know, Russians getting hit by drones, that's nothing that new. I mean, you know, the Russians don't look that bad off in this area. I would like to show y'all the new arrival of Russian armored personnel carriers and transport equipment that these brigades and regiments and battalion tactical groups are using within this area right now, as we were able to see that the Russians were going to war today on the back of a tractor. Here's the clip. There's the tractor.
Matthew Ferguson? Is that you?
Is that a Class 30 Deltic? Crazy. I'm not gonna lie, man.
What is that on the floor, by the way? What is that black box down there with like the red button on it?
Let's see here. Let me see if I can see it. Those are the car batteries. They throw those into the river to recharge the eels.
Oh, well, what is that really, though? Is that like some type of drone launcher or something?
I actually have no clue, to be entirely honest. I don't know what the hell that thing was. Let's take a look at it again. I don't know, man. It might be a lockbox.
That might be an electronic warfare device, maybe. It kind of looks like that.
Or it may actually be a car battery to go recharge the eels. The eels have got to be recharged.
Charge them up. Call them Teslas. They're getting charged.
Oh, man. If they were called Teslas, though, they'd be swimming around the river going, I am a pro gamer. But anyways, moving on from that and out of that clip, it's time for us to move on into the Ukrainian side of the front line today within the Kursk Oblast. And we were able to see that, unfortunately, the Russians are still using FPV drones to a greater extent of success. We did see that they ended up hitting a Ukrainian Humvee today that was relocating from point to point. We don't know the exact damage or casualties that were caused within this vehicle. We can see that it was outfit with an extensive electronic warfare system on the back of the Humvee, but once again, fiber optic drones really are not disrupted through normal electronic warfare means. For this reason, the Humvee was unfortunately hit. It is still important for us to remind everyone that there is a noticeable shift occurring inside of Russian drone strategy and Russian drone technological developments at this point, to where the Russians have largely moved away from attempting to create the mass-produced, incredibly successful and cheap Ukrainian FPV drones, which have had wild success in the war, and they are working towards a more limited number, but nevertheless equally successful amount of fiber optic cable drones. These drones are able to pretty much break through any form of electronic warfare interference, at least within those scenarios, and are able to succeed in much higher rates in completing their missions. These differences in drone technology in development in between the Russians and the Ukrainians has largely arrived because the Ukrainians have had a much wider array and access to advanced electronic warfare systems. And while the Russian Federation has claimed that they do have a large amount of electronic warfare systems, the simple issue is that the Russian Federation does not have an advanced industry outside of the oil sector. And for this reason, the Russian Federation is not able to produce incredibly advanced and refined components like Western companies are able to be able to create an effective electronic warfare system. And so while both sides are employing electronic warfare systems quite literally everywhere across the front lines, it simply is the fact that the Russian systems have a much higher rate of failure when actually having to be used in their true intended form. The Ukrainians, on the other hand, have a very high success rate with electronic warfare equipment. And so for this reason, we've seen that there has been an evolution. Ukraine's drones have evolved from the beginning of the war to simply be cheap, easily manufacturable, and thrown out in the thousands. These things do not have to worry about electronic warfare jamming because for the large part, it simply does not exist around most areas of the front. However, the Russians have to concern themselves heavily about that. Otherwise, their drones of any type will not be able to make it to the Ukrainians that are their targets. So for this reason, while Ukrainian drones have become mass, numerous, and cheap, Russian drones have become smaller in number, slightly more expensive, but at the same time about as reliable as the far more numerous counterparts that the Ukrainians have on the opposite side of the front. And we're starting to see that that's especially being seen inside the Kursk Oblast, as fiber optic drones are being used here more so than any other front so far in the war. But moving on from that and into our next clip, we were also able to see that the Ukrainians have been capturing a significant number of North Korean trophies. We could see the Ukrainian Special Forces operators. I also once again want to note that it's a little interesting how almost every single soldier in Ukraine is called a Special Forces operator at this point. I hardly hear of any regular infantry anymore. It's like the entire military is calling itself a special force. But moving on from that, let's take a look at the trophies. First off, we have this AK-12. That's probably not North Korean, that's probably just Russian. And they also have, I think it's a Belomo reflex sight on it, which is a little interesting.
Looks like a phony EOTech of some sort, like maybe a 512 or something.
Let me go see if I can find the Belomo holographic sight. Holographic sight. Let me see here. Belomo. Yeah, I think it is a Belomo. Wait, hang on. Dang it, I won't be able to find it. I had to go through the Russian optic wiki to go find the stupid thing. Because the Russians have like 9 million optics that they made, and they use like none of them but 3. And because every other one was a failure. But beyond that, interesting to see that they were able to capture this. But moving on from that and into the next one, we were also able to see this Russian pack with a trench shovel in it as well. This is a very old trench shovel, most likely from the times around World War II or just after World War II. They have such a surplus of these things, they get thrown around quite a lot. Moving on from that, though, we also got to see this letter that a North Korean soldier had written in Korean. So we weren't able to confirm that this was a North Korean soldier. The AK-12 was, of course, issued to him by the Russian Federation, but still interesting nonetheless. We were also able to see here a form of a Korean papers of some kind. It also has a QR code on it as well.
Yeah.
And
why would they have a QR code on it if they can't even scan it?
well, I wish I could get into that, but maybe it's for the Russians to scan it, so that way they can pretty much, scan them through whenever they're having to process them somewhere behind the lines, like their equipment being turned in or something like that. Maybe that's the reason. I'm not entirely sure, but we were able to, wait a minute, this is a first aid manual. This is a first aid manual that they issued him. Look at this. It actually shows them how to apply a tourniquet.
Oh, that's interesting. And also, that's a very interesting manual. I guess that's helpful, if you know how to read Korean.
When you have a hole in arm, you take an orange band, wrap it around, and then hold a part of it in your mouth like you're about to inject an methamphetamine, and then you gently tighten it, and you're good to go, Blade. It's like great
Also,
medical advice.
Also, why is in the picture number 3? Why does the guy have like Korean tattoos on his arm like that, and they're pointing to it with an arrow like he has instructions written on his arm in tattoo?
He was once a part of a North Korean gang called the Great Sun-Faced Leader, Kim Jong-un's bringers of devotion and revolutionary zeal, and they used to get tattoos. It's a gang thing. But I don't know. Also, I just want to think about the practicality of this really quickly. So when this North Korean Matthew gets hit in the arm, he goes, oh my God, I'm bleeding. Oh my God, I'm going to lose my, wait a minute. Flip. Step 1. Like, and then it's like
consult the manual.
yeah, it's like this is how little training they have. They're literally sending them out to the front with manuals on. Oh, by the way, if you're about to die in minutes, here's how to save your life. Make sure that you're calm enough to read this while you're bleeding out. It's like that's a little interesting that's the Russian mindset. But here is something else in Korean. Unfortunately, we do not know. It's some sort of a list. Might be a grocery list. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, open the door. 5, 6, get shot at. 7, 8, go cry about it. Something like that. I don't know. But anyways, moving on from that, we also get to see their papers that were issued to them by the Russian Federation as well. This appears to be for Russian identification purposes, most likely. And then finally, we were able to see, once again, another note written in Korean. Although, I do want to point out, we do not know what any of this says. Unfortunately, I cannot read or understand Korean, either the North Korean dialect of Korean or the South Korean dialect. So unfortunately, I'm completely blind on what this means. Also, some people are wondering why in the world do you differentiate in between North and South Korean? People who understand South Korean may not be able to understand North Koreans. And that's not in every case. They're fairly similar. Well, they're incredibly similar. They're both a form of Korean, but the North Korean dialect is very different than the South Korean dialect because of about the 70 to 80 years of complete isolation that they've had from South Korea. And so for this reason, in some instances, pronunciation and also in other forms, spelling of certain kinds of characters and words has changed in North Korea compared to South Korea, or they've changed in South Korea while the North Korean version has not. And so in some instances, South Koreans actually cannot understand some statements that North Koreans make because the dialect is that different. It's almost becoming an entirely separate language that is a part of the Korean language family tree, which is a very interesting thing. If they keep that up for about another 100 years, it might truly be the case that North Korean could be considered a sub-language of the Korean language family, which only exists on the Korean peninsula. But anyways, moving on from that, unfortunately, I do not understand the letters. That was the whole reason I explained that. But nevertheless, a lot of people are talking about something that's going on that's a little bit bigger in the background right now than a North Korean letter. And, you know, another North Korean being captured today, about the third one alive from what we know. But still, Russian forces are panicking in this area about a new possible Ukrainian offensive in Suja, and should Ukraine advance farther in Kursk or continue another offensive. And a lot of people are saying yes. Many of y'all will know that the Ukrainians actually conducted a fairly small offensive recently. We actually believed that it was going to be a very big one. Turned out to not really be the case. They advanced into Berdin, took Berdin, and then they once again reaffirmed their front line near to Bolshoi Soldatskoye, but we haven't seen them advance any further than that. There has been a rumor in the background, though, that Russian intelligence has been able to confirm that around 20,000 new Ukrainian soldiers have been moved into the area to prepare for a new offensive in an unknown direction, but it will be inside the Kursk Oblast. And this has started to raise the question in many people whether Ukraine should do this or not. Of course, we do know that they are hammering the Russian economy, and largely if they're able to deal any kind of losses to the Russian military, that will once again greatly speed up the amount of monetary losses that the Russian government is taking in fighting the war. But is it something that they should do or not? Is this something that the Ukrainian armed forces should undertake as an objective? And it actually seems that the large majority of people are believing that the answer to that is yes. And so, Matthew, what are people thinking about that, and what are you thinking about it as well?
All right, so the overwhelming majority of the audience, 75%, said yes, Ukraine should advance into Kursk, while 12% said no, Ukraine should focus elsewhere, and only 4% said it's not an issue of significance. And me personally, I would say it's a really good thing to keep advancing into Kursk, because Kursk is a very high priority area for the Russians. It forces the Russians to redirect troops to that area to push the Ukrainians back out of their country, and that will be, of course, an advantage for the Ukrainians on other areas of the front lines. Now, Ukraine has to be careful, though, not to allocate too many forces to Kursk, because they could also suffer a sort of disadvantage themselves by removing forces away from other parts of the front line where the Russians might be trying to move on while they're also defending Kursk. So it's a bit of a tricky one here. They have to make sure they're balancing both of their interests, but if Ukraine can afford it, it's good to push into mainland Russia, because Russia will allocate more of their high-value troops in that area to defend their country first. So I think it's a good thing for that reason. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that I believe that it would be a good thing for them to conduct an offensive inside the Kursk Oblast. Once again, we're not looking at any kind of large strategic ambitions, and we're not really planning on the Ukrainians taking anything like the city of Kursk, but it would be a good thing for the Ukrainians to undertake, because we do understand that there is a decent amount of frontline fluidity that it potentially can exist in Kursk, where it does not exist in other areas. In, for example, the normal front line within occupied Ukraine, frontline fluidity, which is how much it can move in one direction or the other, is incredibly small, because the Ukrainians and the Russians are heavily defended on both sides, and while both sides can undertake offensive actions within these areas, it's highly unlikely that these will succeed in any kind of a meaningful way. They may be able to take some ground, but it will be at the cost of a large amount of losses. And so for this reason, there isn't really a lot of potential inside of occupied Ukraine at this point to make any kind of frontline advances. However, the Kursk front line throughout the entirety of the campaign has been a very fluid front line, moving forward and backwards fairly easily, and it does appear that, in my opinion, the Ukrainians could conduct another offensive and be able to actually push through, because there would be no severe defensive positions or major defensive positions that would actually pose some sort of a serious risk at this point to the Ukrainian attackers that would be attempting to advance in any direction based off of where they're at inside the Kursk Oblast right now. But before we move on from that, I do want to point out that the fundraiser has reached a whopping $1,100. Holy moly!
Let's go.
And I gotta say, tonight is a special night, an incredible night, as a matter of fact, because I'm actually going to call forward something that's somewhat rare at this point, and we're going to get back into the news in the Kursk Oblast. It is something that we have not called forward for quite some time, something that I believe needs to be called forward tonight, right now, the General Order. It is the General Order. It is the General Order. If you have $20, well, actually, if you have $5 to throw in, correction, throw it in right now. I'm going to be throwing in a good old $20. Making sure to lead from the front. But there is my $20 right there, and hopefully the entirety of the Lee Spring Army can join me in throwing in a $5 if you consider yourself a member of the Lee Spring Army, and you can throw in $5 if you can afford that. Throw it in right now, because we're going to get this fundraiser over the top right here, right now. We're going to blow this thing away. And so while we blow this thing out of the water here and the fundraiser, I'm going to make sure to continue to carry on the news, and hopefully by the time I look back, that thing will be well past the goal. And so
holy crap, man, it's going crazy already. You see it, man? Look at it. It's racing forward like the Ukrainians. It's crazy.
Man, it's racing forward with that revolutionary zeal and that Chuche spirit. But anyways, moving on from that and into the rest of the news that we have inside the Kursk Oblast, we were able to see that the 36th Brigade has continued to hit the Russian Federation's armed forces within the Kursk Oblast. And we were able to see that right here. Check this out. And we can see them there targeting the Russians and hitting them, slamming them hard. And we can see them once again.
It's going crazy, man. Look at the fundraiser, man. It's already up to a 1.5 raise. Look at that.
That's crazy right there. Look at that. We're almost up to $1.6 thousand. Holy moly. Holy smokes. I got to tell you. But nevertheless, getting on back into this news here, because we got some crazy news while that General Order's going to ham in the background. We were able to see the 36th Brigade continuing to hit Russian forces. And we can see them hitting a BMP. It appears that they actually hit 2 BMPs right there. A second one. Maybe even a third one.
Another one.
Another one. And we can see them continuing to hit Russian sheds. Those are tanks covered in a large amount of sheet metal, by the way.
It might as well be a shed for all it's worth at this point.
Man, I gotta tell you, it really does look like one. And we can see them hitting a mortar right here. Also, they call it a minomet. You can see that at the bottom.
Also, by the way, we got some fantastic donations coming in, by the way. Some big ones, some 50s and some 100s and stuff. It looks like we're almost up to 1,900 raised, so it's getting pretty damn close.
Ole mole! We're only about $600 away from the fundraiser goal. Can we make it? Can we make it? Will the General Order have the patriotic zeal and fervor in support of American and Western interests be able to make it to the fundraiser goal and far beyond? I have a feeling that it will. I think it will, to be entirely honest with you, Matthew, because it still looks like that General general order is going strong. And with that, we are going to be moving on into our next clip, where we were also able to see the Ukrainians once again hitting more Russians in the Kursk Oblast, this time by the 103rd Territorial Defense Forces Brigade. Check this out. The absolute carnage of Russian vehicles in this area, the amount of abandoned BMPs. It's just truly a significant amount of losses. Just wild to see here.
Also, they have like a workers' equipment umbrella or something on top of that one little BMP or whatever that was right there. That's crazy.
Man, these used to be called cope cages, but I believe that they're now there to ensure that they do not get sunburned when working in the cold sun of the Kursk Oblast in the middle of winter. It's a very interesting kind of a phenomenon.
They could get snow burned, you know. That's a thing.
Also, I see some people, I want to clarify this. Some people are like, I don't get paid till Monday. Oh, that's totally fine. Like, no pressure. If you cannot support the fundraiser, do not feel pressure to support it. But if you can, please do. That's largely what we're saying. We don't want anyone to feel pressured about it, though, because if you can't, I'm not trying to, shame anyone if they can't. It's totally fine if you can. But anyways, we can see them continuing to slam Russian BMPs in the distance, and those things are cooking on up. Look at that. Holy moly. And we also, by the way, speaking of cooking, we just cooked up a fine fundraiser total right here. It's now over $2,000. I gotta tell you.
Look at that, man. Over $2,000. That's crazy.
Holy moly. We were actually only $450 away from the fundraiser goal at this point. We are getting very, very close. And speaking of cooking, y'all know something that really was cooking today? The Ukrainian drone attacks. We were able to hear that more drones have entered the Kaluga Oblast and have been attacking Russian infrastructure in the area. We were able to see it right here.
БПЛА, прикиньте.
Ahoyet. And once again, they're under attack. We don't know the exact damage caused yet, but we have a feeling it has to be significant.
Holy moly, we just saw a $300 donation come in. Let's see, we are so close to goal right now. I don't know how close. I think we're $100, or actually like $90 away from goal or something. We're super close.
And I gotta say, what an impressive number. We are only... $96. I'm bad at math, by the way, so that took me a second. We are only $96 away from the fundraiser. Oh, wait a minute. Correction? We are only $82 away from the fundraiser goal. Holy moly. That is absolutely crazy. We're getting close, folks. The general order pulled us through and raised $1.4 thousand so far. That's actually kind of wild when you think about it, that a general order has that kind of power. But anyways, moving on from that and on into the rest of the news that we have here outside of the Russian Federation.
Holy cow,
moly.
Look at that. Look at that. Did we hit goal? We hit the goal. Hey! Jaga, Igor, Slavic Ukraine. Man, we smashed the goal. What is it? It's about 33 minutes or so into the stream, so that was a fast one yet again. Huge thanks to the LSA for helping us to hit that. Another successful Sunday night fundraiser. That's crazy.
Another successful one, as that DJ Khaled guy said, another one. And it's absolutely crazy to think that we did it again. We blew away another fundraiser. Absolutely amazing. I got to give a big shout out and a huge congratulations to everyone who's been a part of this tonight, because we've done it again. We have once again reached another fundraiser goal, and the Lee Spring Army has shown that it will continue to be valorous and victorious on the battlefield of the internet and support of Western and American interests and our revolutionary spirit. The revolution didn't just stop in 1783 with the declaration of the Treaty of Paris and the founding of this United States. The revolution is alive today. That actually sounds kind of commie. But moving on from that and out of that little bit of patriotic zeal that we had going on there, it is time for us to move on into some interesting news down in the middle of the East. Some people call this the middle of the East. Y'all know something that's interesting? Nobody ever says where the Near East is. Y'all know that, right? Like they say the Middle East, the Far East, but there's no Near East. Have y'all ever noticed that? Like, where in the world's the Near East? If there's a middle one, there's got to be one closer to us. So where is that? And interestingly enough, there's actually an answer. The Near East is actually in Europe. So let me actually go show y'all that. The Near East. Let me go type that in. Yes. The Near East. It's Turkey.
Oh, it's Turkey. Oh.
Look
at that boiler.
Whoa. Look at that Erdogan. I'm going to be a pro-Westerner today and an anti-Westerner tomorrow. It's like that's what Turkey does. But beyond that, that's the Near East. It's literally just Turkey. And maybe a little bit of like Syria and like a tiny bit of Lebanon, but really most of the rest of this is considered the Middle East out here. So this is the Near East. This is the Middle East. And then this is the Far East over here. It's really just all of Asia. So I hope that finally answers to y'all what the hell the Near East is, so that way y'all know what in context the Middle East is. Turkey is not the Middle East. It is the Near East. Want to make that clear. So if you see anyone sitting there and going, oh, look at the Middle East, the Turks are Middle Eastern. They're not. They're Near Eastern. Very big difference. But anyways, moving on from that, and on down into the area of the Near East, we were able to see that the Russian Federation is still unable to enter the port of Tartus today. They're still waiting. They're still there. Look at this. There's the port of Tartus, and all these little dots are the Russian vessels. We can actually see that there's some larger, like actual frigates in the area. An Admiral Gregorovich class is in the area right now. Let me go pull that one up for y'all so that way I can get y'all a picture of this one. Let's see.
Crazy. It's all these ships just hanging out near the port. They can't get into it. There's like literally going in circles out here.
So this is one of the vessels that's out there right now. It's just sitting there. They brought it in. They actually kind of like bust this thing in nearly just to kind of sit around the collection fleet that they have, which you can see an oil tanker. That's largely kind of I guess you could say an oiler. Oh, whoa, look at that oiler. That's sitting out there trying to keep this Russian fleet from running out of fuel as it's just sitting there. There's also an Admiral Gorshkov class, which is another Russian, I believe it's a frigate or something a little bit smaller. Let me go check. Let's see here.
Also, Enforcer, could you imagine if a Ukrainian like ship just sort of like found its way down this direction and launched some sea babies or something, started smashing the ship throughout the port of Syria? That would be insane, by the way. I don't know if Ukraine would ever do that, because of course it's a good distance away, but that would be a one for the history books.
Dude, that would be one for the books. I'm telling you, man, that would be crazy. Also, there are a couple of other support vessels that are trying to pick up the ships that are sitting there in, well, not really the ships, but the cargo that's sitting in the port of Tartus, which is hundreds of vehicles and thousands of soldiers. They're just stuck there, and they're not getting out. And the Syrian interim government is not allowing the Russians in. So even with the Russians having this frigate, as well as this frigate, within the area right now, the Syrian interim government is not relenting, and they're just sitting here screwing over the Russians with each passing day, because the Russians are unable to get the equipment or personnel out of Syria at this point. They're stuck at Tartus. And that is something that is really wild when you think about it, is that the Russians are so weak at this point, the Syrian interim government will disrespect them by just telling them, you're not getting your stuff. And there's nothing that they really can do about it, because they just don't have the military abilities or additional resources to go throw at something down here to be able to bomb the Syrians into submission or something along those lines to force them to relent and then let the Russian military leave. They can't even leave if they want to. They're forced to stay at this point. So pretty much all the Russians are stuck around this port right here. This is the one.
Yeah, I wonder how they're going to actually figure that out, because like you're saying, they really don't have an option here, so they're just stuck. So like how long can they even stay there? But surely they're going to run out of food or fuel or something. So, you know, how long are the Russians going to wait this out?
Technically, they could be there forever, because as long as they have food, it doesn't really matter about the rest of the equipment. As long as they have food, these people can technically indefinitely stay there, or they could just end up starving. The Syrian interim government probably wouldn't care either way, and so the Russians they pretty much have their hands tied. There's really nothing that they can do. They just kind of have to wait it out and see if the Syrian interim government will eventually allow them in to get this stuff and take it out. But also, Matthew, I like how they have a travel agency here right near to where the Russians are pretty much hanging out at this point, because it's like that Twilight Zone episode, you know, the one, Matthew, where that guy like killed that cop in the alleyway, and then he was like, hey, screw you, screw, and then he got like shot in the head and he went to hell and he didn't know it, and then like he was like, I want to go to the other place, I don't like it here, and then Fats was like, you are in the other place, this is hell. like whenever they go into that travel agency, the Russians are like, look, I don't like it here. I want to go to the other place, the bad place. And then the interim government and the travel agency is like, this is the other place. This is hell. It's like, no, it's like they can't leave. They're just stuck in this port permanently. They will never, ever leave this place. They have, in all sense of the word, been sent to the cornfield, and they're stuck in the cornfield. What a wonderful thing.
And also, I don't really see any incentive, like someone pointed out here in the live chat, like Thomas said, I don't see any incentive for the Syrians to let that equipment leave, the Russian equipment, for that to actually get taken out by the Russian ships. Why would the Syrian government let them take it? I really don't understand what would be the reason for them to actually let the ships dock and take it. Because, of course, the Russians were there supporting the Assad regime, which is who just got toppled. So, you know, it would make sense for the Russians never to get that back and to simply let them sit there indefinitely.
And I'd have to say, I think it does seem that the Syrian interim government is making all the right choices. I think that they're actually doing a fairly good deal in support of Western interests at this point, so I got to give them a pat on the back and tell them to keep it up. Also, one other thing I want to point out is look at how derelict this port is. Like, there used to have been, at some point, a warehouse building right here, because you can kind of see the outline of the foundation. It's gone. Like, it just isn't there. You can see all the other warehouse buildings of the same size that exist. This one, it's gone. Who knows where it went. Also, another thing that I find really interesting is just look at the state of the equipment. I mean, a lot of it's just like sitting there just rotting for the large part. We can also see, I don't even know what these are, but they're just sitting there. We can also see some trucks just kind of sitting around as well. I think that we dropped down somewhere near here. Oh yeah, we dropped down at that train station. We saw the shitty conditions of the town from there. Like, here's what it looks like here.
Ugh. Oh man, this is a rough train station right here. This is tough.
Man, you know what looking at this, you think of, I mean, well, what I think of that SpongeBob thing where it goes, you know, something like that. It's like, this is just terrible, man. It's horrendous. And then also the inside of their trains look horrendous. But beyond that, we're not here to talk about trains. We're here to talk about the port of Tartus. And we're really here to talk about the collapse of the Assad regime and what the impacts were for the Russians, because it was nothing good. But speaking of stuff going on in the Middle East today, we were also able to see that down near the Gaza Strip, something has happened. A thing happened. We were able to see that some hostages were handed over. I believe at this point, according to the official count, there was only 3 that were handed over. There were supposed to be around in excess of 30 that were handed over. I've only heard of 3. And we can also see the gang of guys wearing green headbands. They really like these headbands for some reason. Transferring them over to the Red Cross convoy, which would take them out of the strip. So here is that clip. This seems
Where'd
well
all these
organized.
guys come from, by the way? Like, I thought there weren't any terrorists inside of Gaza. Where'd all these guys with the green headbands come from?
Oh, you know, they just happen to appear from time to time, you know? It's nothing big. But you know, something else that's interesting, it kind of is a very well organized event, Matthew. You can tell that everyone's really calm, that they have control. Seems like these guards are mentally sound of mind and that they're not over emotional or, you know, maybe subject to an emotional outburst. Doesn't seem like that at all. Look at this. I mean, they're perfectly controlled.
Seems like organized chaos. It also seems like they're pointing guns at civilians and jumping on top of Red Cross trucks and yelling and screaming like lunatics. Who's even in charge here? I don't know.
I gotta be honest with you,
savages.
nothing to see here. I think this is, Matthew, I think that this is completely overblown. In fact, I actually saw something like this at the last congressional hearing in the United States. This is just completely normal, and this is how a normal group of unemotional, non-ideologically brainwashed people would act. These are reasonable people by all measures. Also, this guy is apparently sweeping the roof of the car with his rifle.
Oh my God. Israel has to deal with this. Like that, if these people are allowed to stay here and keep running the place, there will never be any semblance of peace in the Middle East between the proxy groups, Israel, and anybody if they're still allowed to remain here. That's just insanity.
Oh, maybe. But we were also able to see the clip in the second one here, but we won't show that. It's just a duplicate. We did get to see, however, the Red Cross convoy finally made it out of that shit show and then to the other side of the strip, which we were able to see right here. Also, what the hell was that at the beginning of the clip? Oh, that's a dog. I thought it was like a chicken or something. I was like, what is that?
Someone's got a nice, great Chevy V8 somewhere around the area. Someone's getting bombed in the background, too.
Man, the bass of that engine is so loud, it's kind of like rocking the left, like, speaker of my headset out of socket. I'm not lying. It's like shaking and shimmering. Also, was that the flag of Palestine?
That was
Flying off the...
Israel, I think.
No,
Oh, that's yeah, you're right.
Wait, hang on, no, that looks like Kuwait, actually. Hang on, let me check that. No? Wait. Hold up. Well, it's not Palestine either. Who the hell is that? Let me go look at Middle Eastern flags. Hang on, folks, because that's not Palestine. I gotta go find out who this is. So, let's take a run up the mill. So whose flag is this then? Because I'm not seeing it on this list either. It's not Kuwait's. It actually has like a red trapezoid, a black, white, and green. Let's see, black, white, and green. And then this is red. So it actually does look a lot like the Palestinian flag, if any. It doesn't look like the flag of Kuwait. The flag of Kuwait has the most similar shape, but the color pattern is that of a Palestinian flag. So a little interesting to see that a Palestinian flag is flying from the top of a Red Cross vehicle into Israeli territory. Don't really get what's up with that. That's a little interesting, but you see it drive.
I think that's the flag of the UAE, actually. I pulled that one up, and it looks pretty close to it, actually.
So let's see here. No, different. Let me show. Let's see here.
Doesn't go the UAE.
No, it doesn't go all the way to the top. It's trapezoid shaped.
I don't know, man. I think that looks like UAE to me.
No, because UAE, the red area rectangle. This flag, red area not rectangle. Different flag.
Then who is it?
I don't know. I couldn't find any matches. That's what I was just pulling up. Like if you were seeing the stream, you may have been moderating, but I pulled up this whole list of flags here. The UAE was included, and the closest thing I could find was the shape of the flag of Kuwait. Notice how it's not a rectangle; it's a trapezoid. But that kind of a flag design does not exist. So the closest thing in color pattern to this flag is the Palestinian flag, because notice how the UAE has a green, white, black stripe. This one has a black, white, green stripe, and then a red field. So the closest thing to it is the flag of Palestine.
I don't know. To me, that's kind of looking like the UAE. It might be obscured or something. It kind of looks like the block of red shape there a little bit.
Oh, well, I mean, it's right there. It's fairly clear. I mean, we've done this before on what it was an F-35 or an F-16. It ended up being an F-16. But that is not a rectangle. That's a trapezoid for sure. You can even see that down near the bottom area, there's no giant red field down there. It looks that it tapers back off again into a trapezoid. So it looks like a Palestinian flag. It almost looks like the flag of Kuwait, but with the colored pattern of the Palestinian flag. That's what it looks like to me. And also, I don't know why they would be flying the flag of the UAE. It's not like the UAE was involved in this at all. This was a U.S.
I think they actually were. They were involved in negotiating it. They actually facilitated it.
Really?
I believe so. I believe they had a pretty big hand in it, actually.
I eat my foot on that one then. But beyond that, I don't think that's a UAE flag. Let's see. Why are their flags so similar? It happens. But I don't think that is a... Is there another video that we could see where we get a close-up of the vehicle? Maybe we could go back and see the people standing on the roof, because I really want to get down to whose flag that is. Because there's a decent amount of symbology in having a flag on a Red Cross vehicle, because they're not really supposed to profess any nationality. They're supposed to just be a neutrally aligned group. So let's see if we can see the flag here. And we can't see it on the top of this car. So I'm guessing it wasn't this vehicle in the convoy, but there are other vehicles that are also covered in a sea of people. So unfortunately, I cannot see the flag well enough. Still fairly certain, though, in my opinion, it looks to be let's see, someone said that's the flag of Jordan. Maybe, but at the same time, it's more trapezoid shaped like this, like on the flag of Kuwait. It has, also, the other thing is, let's see Jordan. So Jordan does have a similar color outline, but once again, when we go back to the video here, and let me go grab it, because, this isn't supposed to be a big deal, but beyond that, it is a question that I have. Notice this doesn't form a point. This is a flat edge to this red area here. So, like, some people are saying it's the UAE, some people are saying it's Jordan, and some people are saying that it's a whole other country entirely. There is no country that follows the shape and color design of this flag in the Middle East. Not even Palestine has a flag shaped like that, because this is this is triangular, and there's no point in the middle of the white field. It's a flat edge like you would see on the Kuwait flag. So it's like the flag of Kuwait, but with the color scheme of Palestine on it. For the shapes on it. And some people are saying Jordanian doesn't seem, because if you look at it, notice, I wish I could get you all a side-by-side here. That was really easy to see. Notice no triangular point in the white field. This is a flat edge on the white field. In the Jordanian flag, it's a triangular point in the white field. So that would be a very easy thing to tell the difference in between. It has a flat edge like the flag of Kuwait. It looks kind of like a UAE flag, but the problem with that is that the banner doesn't even line up at all beyond the red field, because the UAE and then Palestine's flag and Jordan's flag are completely reversed in color order. So Palestine is black, white, and green. The UAE is green, white, and black. This flag is black, white, and green, meaning that it's not the UAE because the colors are in reverse. So it looks like
What's weird is I'm looking at footage here of the Red Cross trucks traveling to Gaza, and there actually was not a flag on any of those trucks when they were traveling there. So I don't know if that flag was planted on the truck, maybe by one of the terrorists like jumping on top of it or something, because it's actually not present on any photo before it got there.
It sounds like it's a Palestinian flag that was poorly made, and it was pretty much a misprint of a Kuwaiti flag, but they put the Palestinian color scheme on it, and somehow they put it onto the vehicle, probably in the middle of the chaos when the Red Cross people were just trying to get the hell out of there. They stuck it onto the vehicle somehow, and then they drove out with it. I think that's what's happening, because this is not the flag of the UAE. Nothing about it color-wise matches up, and also the shape of the red field does not match up either, so that is not the flag of the UAE, nor is it the flag of Jordan. So it looks like some sort of a weird Palestinian flag. Let's see. Wait, hang on. Palestinian flags. Let's see if we can find some, because maybe there's different designs. Let me take this off screen though, just in case there's something a little bizarre here. They all seem to be fairly uniform. They all have that red triangle. None of them have the trapezoidal shape of the Kuwait flag. So, I wonder where in the world that flag design came from. This is not normal at all. But anyways, moving on from that, that's a whole side note for a whole other time. I'm getting like completely consumed with this at this point. But beyond that, some of the hostages were released, and then right afterwards, we did hear that Hamas is already pretty much regaining control of the strip, and they'll be rebuilding their power over time to once again begin another attack on Israel, meaning that the crisis has been averted for only probably a couple of years, and then we're going to be right back to where we were right now. So great to see. But beyond that, moving on out of Israel and on over into Iran. Well, actually, really quickly, we are going to speak about what's going on in Israel in the Gaza Strip. Hamas released the first 3 hostages to Israel. And will Israel break the ceasefire after all of the hostages have been released? And a lot of people are saying it really depends on what Hamas is going to be doing. Others are saying that the Israelis are going to break the ceasefire without a doubt, and others are saying that the Israelis will abide by the ceasefire. And so, Matthew, what are people thinking about this, and what are you thinking about it as well?
All right, so now that we got the news that 3 hostages were released to Israel today by Hamas, will Israel break the ceasefire after all of them are released? It looks like 43% said it really depends on Hamas actions, while 33% said yes, Israel will break the ceasefire, and 17% said no, Israel will abide by the ceasefire. And honestly, on this one, it's a little bit tricky. I would probably say it does depend on Hamas's actions. If they do follow through with letting the hostages out, the rest of them, then maybe, and most likely, Israel will probably abide by the ceasefire and honor their word on that. But at the same time, though, I personally have some doubts as to the actual status of some of the hostages. I'm wondering if some are actually already deceased that they're claiming are actually alive. And right now, we just simply don't know. So that's why I would say it probably depends on Hamas actions. If everything goes according to plan, though, I do believe they will probably abide by it. But if not, then Israel's probably going to unleash hell. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say that, in my opinion, I do believe that it largely does depend on Hamas actions. Although if the Israelis violated the ceasefire just for the fact that the ceasefire was very lopsided, I largely would be able to understand that kind of a standpoint from the Israelis. They were able to get the hostages released, and then they could get right back to business and making sure to clear out the place and make sure to finally get rid of that Iranian proxy group, which continues to have a pretty strong grip over the Gaza Strip, even at this point. But moving on from that and out of that area, it is now time for us to move on into the area of Iran. We were able to hear some fairly interesting news coming out of this area today, as according to Nexta, Iran seeks to urgently begin constructing new nuclear power plant units in cooperation with Russia. And during a meeting with Vladimir Putin in the Kremlin, the Iranian president Masoud Pezeshkian, I don't even know how to pronounce that, we're just going to say Masoud, announced that he had come to finalize agreements on the construction of new units of the Bushehr nuclear power plant. Both parties emphasized the importance of starting the construction as soon as possible and completing it in the shortest possible time. After the meeting, Putin stated that the Bushehr nuclear power plant contributes to Iran's energy security and called the project a flagship initiative. However, no specific agreements were disclosed. Located in southern Iran, the Bushehr nuclear power plant is considered the most significant Russian-Iranian project in the nuclear sector. Russia handed over the first power unit of the Bushehr NPP with a capacity of 1,000 megawatts to Iran in 2013. Construction of the second phase, including the second and third power units, began in 2016. The second unit was initially scheduled for completion in 2024 and the third in 2026. As of mid-2021, Iran's debt to Russia related to the construction of the NPP stood at approximately $500 million. And there it is. That's what it looks like.
Why do they need a new nuclear facility, though, inside of Iran? Seems kind of a weird thing to do, considering Iran's energy needs are pretty much being met right now. So I wonder what this is about.
I wonder what this is about. And one thing that I find very interesting about this is that Putin said this is going to help out with their energy security, but the thing about that is that Iran is a major oil producer, and they actually produce more oil than they ever consume. So technically, they are not in any kind of an energy crisis of any sort, or we're even getting close. So I would have to say that, in my opinion, being entirely honest with y'all here, I think, in my honest opinion, that this is most likely a cover-up that they're going to be doing here in the future for Iran to be able to continue to enrich nuclear-grade, weapons-grade uranium, so that way they can claim that it's for the new reactors they're supposedly building and not for the nuclear weapon that they're about to attempt to test, probably here in the future. That's what I'm largely thinking at this point. It seems to me that that would be a decent certainty. But nevertheless, before we move on from the Middle East and on into the remainder of the news that we have tonight, we do have a big question, one that's been dominating the live chat even after we moved on from it. What flag was on the Red Cross vehicle? Most people don't know, don't have a clue. Others are saying that it was the flag of the United Arab Emirates, and then just a tiny percentage higher, it's literally only 1% more than the UAE option, is saying that it's the Palestinian flag. Others, 16%, are saying that it was a misprint flag. But Matthew, what are people thinking about this, and what are you thinking about it as well?
All right, so it looks like the enforcer said, 43% are unsure, undecided, or other. So that's the majority of people, while 22% said a Palestine flag, 20% said a UAE flag, and 15% said a misprinted flag. And on this one, I'll be honest with you, I'm having a hard time thinking maybe there was like some type of video glitch that sort of like disfigured the flag a little bit, because there really is no existing flag that matches it according to what we saw in the video. The closest thing I would say it was probably a UAE flag, but also someone pointed out in the chat that maybe it was the old Iraqi flag. And I pulled that one up, and it does match the shape and color, but there's two white stars in that trapezoid shape, which are not present in the flag seen on that truck. So I don't even know, really. Like, I'm just curious at this point, but I don't think we'll have the answer, sadly. But, Enforcer, what say you?
Let's see here. Yeah, the old flag of Iraq from 1921 to 1958 is probably the closest match that we've seen. Wait a minute, hang on. British Palestine mandate flag. British Palestine flag. Let me go see this one. Well. I knew that was coming. Yeah, it wasn't going to look anything like it, was it? No, it was not. This is the Palestine flag while it was a British mandate. So no. Also, that is dog ugly, man. Like, they were like,
that's so bad.
They were like, all right, we're only going to have this thing for like 20 years. So we're not even putting effort into this one. It's like, what is this? Like, the Hong Kong flag looked way better. Hong Kong flag. Let's move back to the old flag. Man, they got an entire Wikipedia on this thing. Here we go. Here is the old Hong Kong flag. This actually was pretty trippy.
Man. It's like Great Britain just like took the same template and put a little ensign over there on the right just to sort of like signify where it was. This was kind of a lame flag design, like, if I'm not going to lie here.
What the hell? Well, what about the U.S. What about the flag of Guam? Flag of Guam.
Guam.
Oh,
That's actually, I like that actually. That's kind of nice. I like
what are
the
you
picture of the boat.
kidding? Are you kidding, dude? Like, what, dude? This looks like it's made in Microsoft Print. It's got a dangle of balls up there in that tree. Those aren't even
Microsoft Print.
coconuts. Like, dude, this thing looks wrong. Like, I'm not gonna lie. This whole flag. This is what in the world does the U.S. Well, I know what the U.S. Virgin Islands look like. That actually is a pretty. Well, actually, now that I look at it, it's not that great. What is up with it?
No.
What is up with the United States making odd flags? Like they don't. What? Let's U.S. territories. Let's just go get the list at this point. Territories of the United States. All right, so okay, American Samoa. Ooh, that's a cool flag. That's actually a cool one.
Oh yeah, I like that one right there. It's like carrying a fountain pen or something, but it's a spear.
Man, honestly though, this flag gives U.S. Postal Service vibes. I don't know why.
Yeah, a little bit. It kind of looks like some sort of like battle flag or something.
Honestly, I respect it. Pretty cool. So we already looked at Guam. Oh, that's actually a pretty cool one. The Northern Mariana Islands. That's actually a pretty neat one.
Giving off some like semi-commie vibes with a star in the middle, but we'll overlook that.
We'll overlook that because the star was ours before the commies ever came around. We are
Indeed.
the owners of the star. Puerto Rico, everyone knows that one. That one's not bad. That one's actually pretty neat.
Puerto Rico.
Trende Aragua. The agua is trending. But let's see. And then we also those are all of our territories. There's 9 that are uninhabited. And oh, what do we got here? We got any flags for these? No, we don't. I like how some of these are literally just like undescript like this. Jarvis Island.
Jarvis
That's
Island.
it. It's
Man,
just
you
sand.
gotta watch out for some of these islands, man. Some of these islands are sketched out. There's one down there that's real sketchy. Has a little like house with blue and white stripes on it. A little bit sketch.
Man, I don't think that's a territory of the United States. I don't think that's one of those. Also,
I think it does.
no, I think that's like a territory of the Bahamas or something like that.
I think it might have been the Virgin Islands.
Let me go find out here. Let's see here. Oh, it is the U.S. Virgin Islands. You were right. I'm gonna have to eat my foot. I am wrong on that.
It's Little St. James, actually. Now that someone said it there, I forgot the name of it, but yes, Little St. James,
Oh,
as opposed to the big one.
that is a very bad name for an island, considering the background behind that. But anyways, moving on from that. Still, most territory. Oh my God, the seal is even worse.
United in pride and hope.
Let's look at the major industries of the U.S. Virgin Islands. We have Big Bird. We have Windmill. We have The Pit. And then we also have Hut.
And Jeffrey. Oh, excuse me.
Oh, yeah. That's right. Yeah, well, wait a minute. I think that is Jeffrey's Island. Like, wait a minute. When you think about it, those are like the buildings that are on it. Anyways. So the conspiracy theories,
whoa, Jack.
the conspiracy theorists are about to go wild with that one for no reason. But anyways, moving on from that. Still, anyways, we don't know what flag that is. That's basically the answer to that poll. Still, no one has a clue what the flag was. Anyways, moving on from that. I do have to say, really quickly, that I do appreciate, I want to give a big shout out to the folks up in the state of Maryland, because I actually do think that their flag is one of the coolest ones. It could be used at NASCAR, and it could also be used in Europe. It's that flag.
Oh yeah, that's I don't really like that flag too much. I'll be honest with you. It's interesting, but I don't really like it.
Man, it just kind of looks neat to me. Put Old Bay on that thing, you know?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, anyways, moving on from that, it is time for us to start calling out some top donors. I think it's about that point in the stream. So, Matthew, take it away.
All right, so jumping into our top donors of the night, we have the biggest one of the night, which goes to, guess who? It's Snow White, who's asking me, how come you didn't invite me over for HelloFresh? I'm sorry, I didn't know you wanted any, but thank you very much, Snow White, for the $300 donation to the fundraiser and helping to keep that thing going. And it was good. It was good. Also, if you're wondering where that's coming from, it's coming from the Patreon, by the way. If anybody's wondering, hey, where was that? I didn't see it. It's over there. But anyways, jumping into our next one here. This one goes to Red Bart, who put in the 250, second largest of the night. Huge shout out to Red Bart. In addition to Snow White, also a big shout out to Just Chillin', who threw in a $120 donation, along with Hal Rose, who threw in a $100, along with some guy called the Enforcer, as well as Snow White once again, who put in a $100, along with AJ, an old warrior and Activista. And then we had an $86 donation from Jonathan Anthony, as well as an $80 donation from Peace with War, as well as Yanara Sorkafor, as well as Captain Ted and Vikolak, as well as Ted Mitchell and Pam Hamilton. And thank you all very much for throwing in that big support to the fundraiser tonight and helping to get us over the $3,000 mark, well over $500 beyond the goal. So huge shout out to the LSA once again, and huge shout out. And Enforcer, take it away.
And I got to give a massive shout out to every single person who contributed to this fundraiser tonight. It is not the crazy kind of fundraiser that we saw last week where we raised $23,000 for the Los Angeles Fire Department Foundation, but it still was an amazing fundraiser nonetheless, raising $3,000 for Nova Ukraine. And I'm sure that the folks in Ukraine are incredibly appreciative and greatly indebted to y'all's support. Y'all, I'm sure they see that as a great friendship and a sign from the Lee Spring Army, knowing that American and Western values will always be supported wherever they may lie. And so with that, I hope that does address that incredibly well. A massive thanks to all of y'all once again. And also, let's see here. I'm seeing a lot of people saying interesting things. Let's see. Someone said, you don't like the Alabama flag? Yeah, not really. It's kind of just lame, in my honest opinion. It's not really like a flag where you go, wow, I know that one. It's kind of like, it's the flag. Yeah, it's like, this is by the way, if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, this is the flag of Alabama. This is it. That's it.
I mean, it's real simple. I mean, you don't get any simpler than that.
It's St. Andrew's cross in red on a white field. That's what it is. I'll be honest with y'all, I'm not really a big fan of flags that have white as their dominant color. They just don't look that interesting to me. I'm just like, meh, it's lame. But, there are some really cool flags out there. Like, for example, if I'm thinking, the flag of Ohio is actually a really cool one. Have you ever seen the flag of Ohio? This is their flag.
Oh, the Ohio flag. It kind of reminds me of, like, the old time, like colonial times or something like that. It has that kind of vibe to it.
Yeah, it's actually really cool. It's unique because it's also not a rectangular shape. It's an irregular shape. So that's actually very distinct about it and very unique. So I think that the flag of Ohio is pretty cool. Also, another cool flag would be the flag of Pennsylvania, not Pensacola, Pennsylvania. I misclicked. Pennsylvania. Here we go. This is the flag of Pennsylvania. It goes hard.
Damn, Pennsylvania, that actually does go hard. That's real regal looking right there. I actually like that one. The blue's nice. It's like the royal blue. I like the horses. I like this one.
I mean, this one's baller, man. Like, this one is really, really good. As far as the complexity, though, on a flying flag, it does not look that good. Simplicity is always the big thing for flags that will be flying off of a flagpole. But still, I think this thing is just absolutely baller. Goes hard. Feel free to screenshot. Another cool one is the flag of the state of New York. So let me go get this here. Let's see. There's some differences in designs, but this is generally the flag of New York. It's not that bad.
I'm not liking that one. I'm not liking it. What about the flag of California?
Oh, that one is cool. That one's really cool. Let's take a look at that one. Yeah, that one's pretty cool.
I actually like that one with the bear on it. Like the bear is looking sus, but this flag is nice though. Now the star though, the red star within that corner. I was talking about the little like semi-commie on that other flag. That right there. Oh.
Man, that bear though, he looks like he's going, I'm gonna sneak up on some campers. He did something like that. It's like, man, get away from me, you freaking bear. It's like, what a weirdo. Anyways, the flag of Texas, of course, one that no one can not mention. Very memorable, very iconic, very simple. I
like the flag of Texas, man. I like that.
And also there is I want to include this one. Flag of New Mexico. This is actually a pretty cool one.
What? That's not it. No, that
like
yellow
that?
is no good. Nah, I hate the yellow.
Dude, it's like the Ronald McDonald flag of states. Like, when you look at this thing, you hear, Ba-da-da-da-da. I'm loving it. And then it's like hot as shit and you die of a heat stroke. But it's
And
pretty cool.
they basically said, we want that like express color scheme. Like give us DHL.
By the way, this was the old flag of New Mexico, just to let you know that there is
real?
it's a massive improvement. It's like compared to what they had. Like, this is bad.
Yeah, this is bad. I thought it was fake for a minute, but you know, it's real.
Now, this was the flag from 1912 to 1925. So for like the first decade it was a state, they had this dog awful ugly ass thing. Like, this is what it was. And also, let me see here. What is another one? What is another one that looks cool? And let's see. Let me think.
Also, man, how we start rabbit holing on flags like this, man? It's like stop the whole news flow. What's going on?
Well, I mean, man, it's the fundraiser night. We can take it easy. Also, by the way, here's the flag of. Oh boy, wait a minute. We might not want to show the flag of Virginia. It's like wait a minute. I don't know if YouTube's gonna get us for that one. But anyways, with that, it is time for us to get on into some questions. Because we did shout out the top donors, and then oh yeah, I forgot, Matthew. Someone said you didn't like the flag of Alabama, and then that's what got us on the rabbit hole. But anyways, with that, it is time for us to move on into all of those questions. The three questions from the live chat before we get on into the remainder of the news. So what do we got, Matthew? What do we got?
All right, so our first question is going to go to Tornadoes, who says, can the USA just arrest Putin?
No. He's not a citizen of the United States. So you literally just can't pull out the Los Angeles Police Department and go send them over to Russia to go arrest him. It's just not like that at all. He's not subject or bound to any laws of the United States. He's not a U.S. citizen, so you can't just go and arrest someone. It's not the movies where, like, secret agent Kim can run in and go, you are under arrest. It's just not like that. There's a whole, like, we would literally have to defeat their entire country in war, and then in an unconditional surrender say that he's handed over to us to be subject to U.S. laws under a U.S. trial, and then that's the only way that you could actually have him arrested and then try him for something at some point. But anyways, with that, I hope that is addressed the best I can, and we are on to the second to last question of this segment.
All right, and this one goes to Mike, who says, are all of the advanced Russian planes still stuck in Syria?
For the most part, a decent amount of those did manage to make it out, from what we know, but there are still some that are stuck. So about a half of them, from what we know, are still stuck inside of Syria, according to the last bits of news that we were getting. And so I hope that answers that the best I can, at least from what I would know. And with that, we are on to the final question of the segment, and then we're getting right back into the news.
And this one goes to the Dirty Bubble, who says, would there be any strategic value for Ukraine to strike the Russian tankers and frigates that are sitting outside the port in Syria?
Not really, because those are unladen right now. They're empty because they're supposed to be loading up at that port and then leaving. So it'd actually be of strategic value for them to destroy them after they leave Syria. But right now, there really is no significant value to destroying them at this point because they're empty. And so with that, I hope that does address that the best I can, at least in my opinion. And it's now time for us to move on from this question segment and right back into the news. And it's time for us to get on into Ukraine because we have loads of news to cover inside of Ukraine. And so let's check it out. Special Forces in operations. More Special Forces. I'm going to be honest with you, Matthew. I'm really starting to question whether everyone in the Ukrainian military gets the Special Forces title because, like, I don't hear about normal infantry like we used to back in the day. Like, there used to be just infantry brigades, territorial defense forces. We don't hear about them anymore. It's just Special Forces endlessly.
I think they might qualify Special Forces as simply having the AR platform because it looks like these guys do as well based on what I'm seeing, like from the limited view here. Maybe that's what they're calling Special Forces. They got the better rifle, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. This guy's got an L-can on it. That's actually really cool.
L-can.
Yeah, that's really neat. And it looks like he's on an M249, maybe. We can also see this guy here with an AR. And we can also see, what is that?
What is
that one of those
That
little
kinda looks
Thompson
like-
and Bruger things?
Yeah, I think that's a B&T. It looks like it came with the suppressor that they make too, I think. I don't know if B&T actually makes suppressors, but there's one that's always shown with it, and it looks kind of similar.
That is actually a really cool one right there. That is pretty neat. You know what? They get the title of Special Forces just for that gun. That's a pretty cool one. Moving on from that, though, and into the next clip, we also got to see bombs for Baba Yaga. And these things are big. I mean, they're huge. And also, Matthew, imagine,
the hell, man, those are like the most cartoonish looking things ever. It's like a 3D printed like mini nuke or something.
wait, hang on, 1 second. Looney Tunes bomb. Let me go find that.
Are they 3D printed, by the way? It kind of looks like they have that like little wavy like bit to
Yes,
them.
they are 3D printed, but it
Uh-huh.
legitimately looks like, man, they got a couple of these in the back of the car. Like it's like some cartoonish stuff like that. It's like I don't know how much the explosive yield on these things is going to be, but I'm guessing that a Baba Yaga will only be able to carry about one of them once these things are laden with explosives. Also, Matthew, imagine being a police officer and pulling over this guy who's moving these around for speeding, and he's like, "What the hell's in the back?" He's like, "It's bombs." Like, I work in a bomb factory, and they're like, "Go on your way." And then it's like, "Go on, get." Also, why is this one orange? Oh, the rest of them are green. This one's orange.
That's the special one right there. And also, I like how the guy went through the trouble putting the floor mats down and make sure that these didn't scratch up the carpet. That's a good touch.
He's like, "Not my felt carpeting." And then he puts out down the mats and puts bombs on top of them. Mass respect for that. But moving on from that, and also let me move my map on up into Ukraine because we're going to be up there for the rest of the night. We were also able to see in our next clip that the Ukrainians were going under mortar training. Here is why Ukrainian mortar training is the best in the world. We can see them using a knife to carve up a target, it seems, and they're now getting the mortar ready. We now see them bringing up the mortar round, dropping it, dunk, and there it goes. And here comes the second one, dunk, and there it goes. Wow. Look
And
at
also,
that.
by the way, I saw a Rad Doctor saying in the live chat that B&T makes more suppressors than any other company anywhere. I actually did not know that. Like, I had a feeling they made suppressors because they always have, like, this weird, like, proprietary-looking suppressor on all their guns and their sales pictures, but I didn't know they made that many suppressors, so that's kind of cool. I would like to know if they're any good. It sounds like you know about them, so I'd like to know if they're any good. I have a Q one. I don't have a B&T, so that's kind of interesting.
That is interesting to hear. Very interesting indeed. But before we get on into the next one, Matthew, I got to mentally prepare you for this one. I also got to tell you that you might not want to pay attention to the chat for just a moment because we got something big coming up. I have come up with a whole new segment and a whole new name for the Russians who create abominations out of automobiles. Many people know that the Russian thugs are called gopniks. Many people know that the Russian conscripts are called mobiks. So I decided that the people who make automobile abominations should be called rodniks from this point forward, as a play on gopnik. But nevertheless, we have an entire list here, Matthew. It's maybe 10 pictures or so of new and profound Russian abominations that have been seen on the roadways of occupied Ukraine and in the Kursk Oblast. Are you mentally prepared for the absolute obliteration of your mind that is going to be coming as a result of this segment?
Yes, I'm ready.
Holy moly! And a $333
God.
donation just came into the fundraiser.
Who is that?
Holy moly!
Is that Hal Rose, man? That's like the trademark 333.
It must be Hal
It's gotta
Rose.
be.
And I a big shout out to Hal Rose. That's got to be Hal Rose because only Hal Rose throws on a 333. But a huge shout out to you for that. Nevertheless, and so with that, Matthew, let us begin. Holy moly!
Oh my God! What the man? What? First of all, is that one patch of hair on the front of his head? Am I seeing that correctly? Is that like a stray patch, or is that something else?
It's Boss Baby on a motorcycle.
Yeah. Okay, getting over that for a second. That's almost as atrocious as the bald spot in the hot dog man's head. Let's see here. This is just tough, man. This is rough. Also, is that guy humping? Oh my God! What the?
It's Boss Baby. Like
It literally is. What's the guy doing to the sidecar, man? What's going on over there? He doesn't look like he's pushing it.
It sounds like that. It's like, it's not good, whatever it is. But a very interesting scene, nevertheless. We're going to be moving on from this picture and on to the next one. Jesus.
Look, it's got that like fast motion blur to it and everything too, like it was like a rap cover art or something.
Dude, we had to drag this one into Canva and turn it in black and white and put an explicit advisory content warning on this thing. This is bad. But what they did, Matthew, is that they took a blowtorch, burned off the entire upper roof segment of the back of the Buhanka, and turned it into a pickup. Once again, let me remind you all what a normal Buhanka looks like, by the way, so that way y'all know what we're talking about. This is what it looked like before modifications. This is what it looked like after modifications.
Oh, and you can already see it literally leaning forwards. Like, can you imagine if they stomp the brakes? This thing's gonna roll forward and smash that cage.
Man, it's just the whole thing is cursed, man. This is just extremely cursed to the next level. But with that, Matthew, they only get worse from here. Are you ready for the next one?
Hit me.
Oh,
my God! It's a former
God.
police car.
It's
What's he doing? He's sitting in the back. He's sitting in the back like that Austrian painter used to do.
Dude, he's literally got a hand up and everything. It's a freaking Lada that they pick-up-ified. Like, they pick-up-ify everything now. And
Who's
also,
gonna tell him this is not a Mercedes?
dude, geschickt verleihen in den Deutschen. Dude,
Oh
this
man,
is
he
just,
found the Pullman.
dude. And they also put an electronic warfare jammer that's the shape of a tub on the top of this thing as well. This is a pretty rough one. Honestly, just slightly worse than the Bahanka, but it's still rough. But are you ready for the next?
Yes, hit me.
Oh,
my God! What
God.
the hell? They took the kid's like swing set and they welded it to the back, and then they put the gun on it, and then the guy looks like he's bewildered, like, "Oh my God! Look, I'm holding a gun on this swing set."
Man, they pick up a truck, find this one as well. Look, they cut everything off on the back and just made it a flat bed back there. They're turning everything into a pickup. You know, they must be envious of the United States, man, because we just make pickups as pickups. They have to turn cars into pickups over there. So I guess that they're really envious of America these days. They hate us, but they ain't us. That's the whole thing.
And also, like, you know, I'm not like, what vehicle is this? Did you already say what model this is?
I actually don't know on this one. It could be anything.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't even recognize this. It looks like almost like a old Chevy like S10 or something. I can't tell what this is, but it doesn't look Russian.
We could probably find it. It probably is an old Soviet vehicle. Maybe like a ZIL or something like that. I don't know.
Wait. Danny said it's a Chevy, and I thought it looked like a Chevy. Like, it has like the front end of like an American pickup design. That does not look like a Russian design. But I'm not an expert in Russian pickup trucks, so that's even really a big thing. But that's crazy.
Do they have pickups? Russian pickup truck.
Is that a Chevy LUV? Let's see here.
Ew!
It is a Chevy LUV. It is. I can't. Y'all got that right. Monster Lab and also some other people got that right as well.
Matthew, I get an answer to our question, and I really hate that I found it. They have a pickup truck, one pickup truck, in all of Russia. You're going to be terrified to see what this thing looks like. I'm not even kidding. It's
Let's
so.
see it. I want to see. Oh my God! It's like, oh, I don't even know what to say.
I don't know what to say about it
Wait,
either.
it's going to the U.S. market. Is that serious? When was this article put out? This was surely before sanctions.
It had to be before sanctions. I don't really know. Like, unfortunately, I wouldn't be able to say. But, oh my God, what is that?
I'm not gonna lie, it's actually somewhat cool looking if it works right.
I don't know, man. And then these, I don't know what
That's
those.
just clunkers. I think that might be the thing. It's just been modified out as a tactical version.
Yeah. It is. It's the same thing. So, I don't know. This thing looks bad though.
Yeah, but to answer your question though, or answer whoever asked the question, I think I asked the question, so I'm answering my own question. But it's a Chevy LUV that was in that picture back there. That was what it was apparently.
Ugh. They've done it bad. Moving on from that, it's time for us to get on into the next picture.
Oh my God, man! How much those guys freaking weigh, man? The axle's about to snap.
Dude, this guy's out of the car right now. He's getting, get your fat ass out of the car. You're breaking the suspension. And you know, one of these guys, they gotta weigh like 700 pounds apiece or something.
Samuel, you're breaking the car, Samuel.
Shut up. Here's Samuel. It's right there.
I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh my Lord! They took all the doors off. They took the back hatch off, and they're sitting their fat asses on the axle and overloading it. At this point, terrible stuff. But it's time to get to the last one, the final one.
All right, let's see. Oh, wait, what's so unusual about this one? It looks like a loaf.
It's another pickup-ified Buhanka, but we're seeing it from the front. So you're seeing this guy standing up in the pickup section of the back of the Buhanka.
Yeah, he looks like he's not enjoying that very much.
It looks like he's taking a crap on the thing.
Did they just come straight down that like 90-degree incline of that thing? Like, surely not.
They did.
Oh my God. How'd that thing survive that? And also that's why the guy looks like that. He looks like he's holding on for dear life. That's because he went down that 90-degree hill.
Man, he just took the ride of his life standing up in the back of some crappily made Buhanka. Like, only in Russia could such a thing happen. But That is the end of our Rodniks segment, and it's now time for us to move on to the Russian casualty report. Most likely greatly increased due to their poor automobile abilities, but one.
Yes, they got one. They brought us up to 3,700. I like to see that. That's good for OCD. But Enforcer, tell us more.
And I gotta say, the numbers are good. According to Ms. Deesa, the keeper of the records, relative to 7-day average, the troop losses are in average range of around 1,500 to 1,600. AFVs are an equal average, and artillery, UAVs, and vehicles are much lower. But nevertheless, it's time for us to break down the losses. 1,580 Russian soldiers have been wounded and killed over the past 24 hours, along with 18 APCs, 76 supply trucks, 8 main battle tanks, 15 artillery pieces, 36 drones, 2 cruise missiles, and 1 Bobcat skid steer. All in all, the losses were good, and it was great to see that the Russian Federation has once again been having a somewhat rough day. Moving on from that and on into the front, we were able to see within the Kharkiv area, the Russians were getting slammed. The Ukrainians were just obliterating them, simply put.
And they were, and they did.
Russia isn't losing, haha, this is hilarious, and then they put in a laughing emoji. I hope you see that one, man. That one's a good one. I get a laugh.
Oh, that guy's a bot. He said something a minute ago that was crazy too. Let me go back up and find it. Let's see here. He said cringe. I was just going to let it go. I was like, okay, he thinks it's cringe. I'm just going to let it go. And then he said, Russia wins. You're being lied to. I'm like, oh, okay, that's why he thinks we're cringe, because he's a Russian.
And then he says, you're being lied to. It's like, on the contrary, it is you who are the one who is lied and deceived.
Also, Miss Deesa said, flag mystery solved? Not really, honestly. We really don't know what it is still. I'm still saying it's maybe a UAE flag. I saw Jay Bagwell say maybe it's an upside down UAE flag. I think there was something wrong with the actual video itself that obscured it, but I think it was.
I'm still thinking it might be some sort of a weird misprint of a Palestinian flag, maybe. But we can see here, Russian main battle tanks also getting hit within the northern area today, and a BMP-2. Oh, and they got it.
Oh, also, Miss Deesa was trying to give me a heads up here. She sent me some intel. Let's see here. So she's saying that Miss Deesa might have solved the mystery, folks. And Miss Deesa, of course, is the keeper of the records and also is the rectifier of the mystery, I think. And I think, Enforcer, what was your guess of what it was first before I say
looks like a misprint of a Palestinian flag.
So we're actually both wrong. So we can both apologize here. Apparently, it is a Palestinian flag, and it's just a low-res picture. Let me send over this still shot, and you can take a look and show it on the air. We can solve this mystery for once and for all.
Is it in Discord?
I just sent it over in Discord, yes.
Got you. Let's take a look. So it is a Palestinian flag.
So since it is a Palestinian flag, I think that was planted on there by maybe one of the Hamas people inside of Gaza, because it wasn't there when they drove in, according to what I saw.
Now, Matthew, now that we were both wrong, we have to apologize. We have to make a YouTube apology video. Allow me to start. Let me be the first. Hello, everyone. I'm shit-faced again, but I might have been kind of wrong. But anyways,
yeah. I know that many of you may have been hurt by my actions, but that's okay. We're going to make another video and pretend like it never happened.
And also, by the way, I'm sponsored again today. Don't miss out on that sponsorship.
Yeah, nothing like getting sponsored while you're apologizing.
Oh, man, but we see them continue in the Russian vehicles. Oh, man. Tom Exman said, eat your feet now. Like, I will be very soon. Let's see. The Lone Phoenix said, can we skip an apology? No, I'm sorry. It's a quintessential part of the YouTube experience. Everyone must eventually make a YouTube apology video. And then you will get canceled right after you make it. That's just a part of the whole deal.
Wait, let's see if the mic can pick this up. So here's like the perfect intro for a YouTube apology. Guys, I messed up. And then it goes from there. Yeah.
Oh, man. Wait a minute, hold up. No, you got to start every apology video where you're not in frame, and you have to come in frame and then sit down in front of the camera, take a sigh, and then say, guys, I messed up. And then
you got to do that awkward like lip smacking thing too, like
Yeah, it's you always have to do it the same way, or you can do it in different ways. You could do a ukulele song about what you did and then say sorry. There's many different ways, but usually you go with the one way that we're talking about, which is the way. It is how you do it. Man, imagine. I just want to say this is not political, by the way, y'all. I want to make that clear, but it just hit me in the head, and I have to bring this up. What if, Matthew, Richard Nixon was alive and president today, and the Watergate thing happened and he resigned, but he did it as a YouTube apology video, as like a national address. He like sat down in front of the camera, did the deep sigh, and he went, "Fellas, I think I messed up." He started off like that. Like, what if he did that, man? Like, that would be legitimately hilarious.
Never do that, ever.
Man, and that's why, effective noon tomorrow, I will resign the office of the president. But I also want you to know that today I'm sponsored by Shave Your Balls. Make sure to shave your balls.
Oh,
you're not a dish, you're a man. Moving on from that, we got to see a comment.
The soap's so good you'll break into the building for it.
The soap is so good I went to Watergate and busted down the doors to go find it.
This soap's so good you'll want to open up the water gates for this one.
Fellas, I know I had this great campaign song called Nixon Now, but now it's going to be Nixon Goodbye. I'm having to resign. Oh my Lord. And oh my Lord, Angel Orange just came up with the best idea. A Nixon-style YouTube influencer. That would truly be one of the funniest things ever. We're going to break into Watergate. Like, it's just like, check it out, fellas.
He said, I'm not a crook, but I am clean with this new soap.
Listen, folks, I might have done some questionable things that put dirt on my hands in the past, but nevertheless, with Squatch soap, you too can be clean. It's like, it's like you can clean yourself of these crimes. Like, but moving on from that.
I also think their mascot, that Squatch thing, probably is the one that broke into the building, but anyways.
I saw that Squatch thing at Bohemian Grove. I thought it was stupid. Like, it's or something like that. Like, man, Nixon was the only person to go to Bohemian Grove, come back, and someone said, "Hey, how was it?" It was stupid. It's like, I'm never going back. Like,
he was like, built for that.
Dude. Oh my Lord. But anyways, we can see the Ukrainians obliterating more Russian positions around Kursk. Oh my Lord.
Oh my God.
Oh goodness. Oh my Lord, man, I'm laughing so hard over here. I'm trying to get it under control. The whole thing with that is just making me bust out laughing. Some of y'all are wondering how I kept it from Congress for so long that we did break into Watergate. That's because I used, that's because I used a VPN provider. Like, or something like that.
Yeah. Like, how was I able to access the security cameras and disable them? Well, with private something. Oh. I can't say it. I was about to say a real name there. I can't say.
Well, like, careful, like, Oh, man. Oh, we can see them dropping bomblets onto the Russian vehicles. Goodness.
Also, Danny B said, did I hear right that my daughter told me that TikTok's unbanned now? Is that true? They kind of unbanned themselves, actually, because it was a self-imposed ban that TikTok put on themselves to go out of commission, and now they're suddenly back. But I don't think they're back on the App Store yet, but they still are functioning, because they got some assurances, apparently.
And we can see them continuing to drop bomblets on the Russians while Matthew gets out that news. That is something that actually did happen, and it was weird how they did that. But anyways, moving on from that and down towards Bakhmut, we got to see some Russians getting hit down in this area. All right, that was weird.
Some of that doom core.
Last Christmas, I gave you my heart. Last Christmas, I broke open the doors and I got all those files. Oh, I did it real well. And then Congress came down and took me to hell, or something like that. But anyways, oh man. Well, you see them dropping the bombs. I get like, some people are like, wait a minute. Like, what is up with all this? Like, I actually get a huge kick out of some things like that. I just don't say it a lot on air, but I get a lot of laughs out of things that happened in the past, governmentally. But anyways, moving on from that and into the next clip, we also get to see some Russians getting slammed. Here's a Russian. He's got a helmet on a stick. He's like, look, I have a helmet on a stick, блядь. It's really smart.
Что-то жужжит. Осколок. Что-то жужжит.
How's that hat sting on his head?
I don't know. It's literally on the back of his head. I guess he's got like an elongated skull or something that's holding it like a coat hanger.
Can you please go back and still frame that, please? I gotta like try to make sense of that real quick.
Та манка.
Wow.
You can get a side view.
Maybe?
There was a side view there for a second. Like,
Oh,
it should be right there.
What the hell? What is this? What is
Man, that
this?
is defying the laws of physics. Like, how's that even possible? Like, I don't really understand how that works. Is it glued on his head? Someone said it's glued on. I don't even understand it. Like, I'm genuinely shocked. Like, we're not doing this just for theater. Like, how is that actually staying on his head?
Listen, folks, I'm not a crook, but that guy right there has an illogical head. it's like illogically shaped. It makes no sense. But I don't even understand how the hell that's. How is that working?
Oh,
Like, now that you pointed that out, he's like moving his head around and everything. He's not even moving.
Прилетело.
Dude, when he takes that hat off, it makes like a suction popping noise or something. He's got like, I don't know how the hell that works.
Bro showing us the stick creation. It's like, no, look at the back of your head. Like, let's look at that creation instead.
Yeah.
Чуть-чуть откапываю. Завалило.
We hear the Russian on the radio yelling at him, how the hell's that hat staying on your head? Give me an answer. You know, it's like, no answers given.
It shouldn't be.
Пушки пострелял.
And didn't come through.
No, it didn't. And sadly, most of it didn't. And that's the end of that clip, but still very interesting how that hat was staying on his head like that rather than everything else. But we also got to see some fighting in Tourette's. Sadly, we'll have to mute it. But we can see the Ukrainians clearing out the area. And, oh, they're clearing it out. I've got to tell you, back in my day, back in Nam, we used to clear them out really well. Oh, I'm telling you.
That guy was putting in some work with the rifle, though. He was just like literally just holding it right up and just like bing, 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 right down there in the hole. Blah, 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 blah.
I'm telling you, he held up that rifle and he went, "Washo Bijola, Bing Chilling," or something like that. But anyways, oh man. But you see them continuing to move through the area. It's quite a long video, mind you. We will only be showing some of it.
That's at the bottom, subtitles by Happy Scribe. Oh, well, that's good. I don't want an unhappy scribe.
Did you go into the medieval scribes tavern and you're like, "Are y'all happy?" And they're like, "'Twas happy indeed." You know, something like that as they're like scribing.
It sounds like one of those apps that might have gotten taken out by the TikTok ban.
Man. Oh man. And also, let's see here. What are some people saying? Someone said, "Conehead." Yes. That's all I can say to that. Yes. Must be.
Also, these guys have got some nice guns, too. Like, it looks like the Azov is upgraded here.
Man, they got, like, some nice guns and some nice Uggs. I'm telling you, man.
This guy shooting the rock, though, it's a bit of a...
Man, you wouldn't believe it, but he's shooting the rock. But anyways... Pun intended. But let's see here. We can see him dropping a grenade in. And he said, "Got it, it's in." Boosh. And then we can see the smoke coming out.
Yeah, there's somebody down there right now. They're choking on that smoke.
Aw, man, you said choking. No one does that better than me live on air. Aw, man. And when you see them dropping another nade, man, they're just blasting that thing out. Someone said, "Get out, moron, get out." And another word I will not repeat.
Get out, bench.
Get out, you female dog. Like, or something like that. Oh. He said, "I'm faster." Yoink, it threw the grenade right in. And a gadoosh. And there we go, again. We now see him getting low, doing a roll, and now walking into the ruins of a building. Oh, and there went a drone. He's trying to pop. Oh my lord, he got it on the second shot. What a legend. An absolute G. Holy.
He said, I smashed an FPV. Did you copy? Who said that with some cockiness to it, too?
Man, he said, man, look at this. Like, now look at this. Boop, 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 boop. We're going to skip past this part. Actually,
Man, that was like the freaking back rooms back there. That looked horrifying.
man, they're about to go back there and they're about to find the spaghetti monster. But we're going to end that clip right here because it's incredibly long. We have a lot more stuff to cover. Moving on down to the Pokrovsk, we were able to see a Russian attack being repelled today. Check this out. That's from the Chechen War, mind y'all. Wanted to point that out. I've heard that radio call before. But anyways, you know, they're like, how the hell do you hear a radio call from the Chechen War? Trust me, I was researching the Chechen War for a while before the war in Ukraine began. That's a really famous radio call that was made from the middle of Grozny. There's an entire Russian I think it was about half of a Russian battalion had been encircled, and all of them ended up getting killed in the course of about the next 2 hours after that radio call came through. And that radio call was basically saying that they were completely surrounded, they were getting mowed down, and they needed to be pretty much evacuated from the area if there was a way to break through. And the Russians couldn't break through, so all 400 of those guys got killed. So that's a famous radio call from the Chechen War, the first one, mind you. But we can see that the Ukrainians are playing it over a clip of the Russians getting obliterated in a similar form in the here and now.
Also, by the way, I know this is off topic. I just got to say this. I was shocked because I was doing a quick scan for breaking news here real quick. I do have some breaking news that literally just came out while we're watching this footage.
Or more rugs pulled?
Yes, well, no, not rugs, but just to read this off real quick. Apparently, the ATF and Homeland Security here in the United States is investigating after deputies seized 10,000 rounds of 50 BMG ammo and nearly 20,000 AK-47 rounds stuffed into vehicles and transported, apparently, into the United States by people that were not citizens. So, very interesting here. It's literally an SUV loaded to the brim with ammunition, that's a lot of ammo right there. That's not just your average person carrying that in. That sounds like somebody who might be a target of interest. So very fascinating there. That's disturbing.
And when they say AK rounds, do they mean 7.62 or 5.45?
They don't state on the post here, but they say AK-47, so I'd imagine it's the more common one.
More common globally would be 5.45. I think more commonly around here might be 7.62 maybe, but I don't know. But we did get to see a Leopard 2 in Pokrovsk. Look at this. Whoa.
Oh, wow, that's nice.
Getty. And it's just beautiful. What a neat tank. Moving on from that and into our next clip, we also got to see Madyar's birds hitting the Russians. This is a very long clip. We will be shorting it.
Відповідаю на часто задаване у коментах питання. Задіравлений у такий спосіб ствол гармати не підлягає відновленню у бойових умовах. Порушує структуру самого металу, не латкається затичками і навіть скотчем, а при спробі застосування стається розрив ствола на паздір'я разом з усіма тими, хто буде поруч у той момент. Тим часом хробачня вже замостилася на ничку, принаймні їм так здається, підтягнули гармату та повну вантажівку краму.
It's like a bunch of ants moving around.
Надовго зібрались засісти, коротше. Будемо маленько їх плани куйовдити. Хробачня вже чує FPV.
They're sending in Blinky.
Man, they're sending him in. Man, I like how you quickly got one of the agents of Hot Dog Man who wanted to be sly and asked, who's the Hot Dog Man? And you just got him. I was like, good job.
We haven't even mentioned the Hot Dog Man tonight. It's like somebody randomly comes in talking about, who's Hot Dog Man? It's like, I don't know. Go find out.
But anyway. Oh, bada boom,
I've heard that in a long time.
Хлам у вантажівці грайливо вогником від приходу займається. Коротше, женіть наступну...
Someone said, I don't understand a word Madyar's saying, but I know exactly what he's saying. I know, like Madyar's very articulate that way.
Після перегляду нашого відео цієї вогневої позиції...
And that thing's cooking on up.
Тиша. О, то танчик проєбланчик. Один з відтинків дороги смерті.
Oh, they have an abandoned tank here. Can we cook this as well? Cook it like an easy bake.
Пам'ятаєте? Зараз погляньте роботу ормбастерів.
Cook it like a chicken bake from Costco. We're the Costco guys. Of course we blow up Russian tanks in bulk. Bada boom! Here it comes.
Постачальників з півдня. Оп, поклали з дрончиком. Якраз і є той, котрим нічний
Oh,
доктор
they're cooking.
освітлює. Багато
Well, it's
Anyone.
like a
питали,
thermite
нащо той
thing.
бича?
I think it might have
Тож
been. But
потужний
as they say,
пропалювач,
Matthew,
там підгоряє
anyone
за
can
7-9
cook.
секунд. Тому хробакам від нього
That's true.
дуже некомфортно. Як і в
Except for
цьому
me.
випадку.
It's like, except
Ще
for me.
один танчик
But you forgot the last part.
Вас
Anyone
піде.
can cook,
Де горить.
but only the fearless can be great.
Козаки Кліми працюють,
Oh, yeah,
так
yeah,
тільки
yeah. I forget.
трусить,
And then he died right after he said that. Like,
Yeah.
Ось зовні відео, хробачня
He got
відстрілюється
one
по
star removed from his restaurant, and of course, in overdramatic fashion, died immediately. It's like, what? Okay. But moving on from this clip, we will not be showing much more. We have much more to go. We were also able to see a little bit further down the lines some drones being taken out near Kursk. Check out this anti-drone action here.
Oh wow, it juked.
Look at that. It's bobbing and weaving. This is wild.
That thing's actually pretty maneuverable when it wants to, do it.
Man, they don't just fly in straight lines. They can move. It's like, that's wild.
But I don't think it's going to see it coming.
It's not. I don't think it is this time. I think it's in the blind spot. The blind spot, not the blind spot. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But anyways, here it comes.
Anyways, Jack.
Well, what happened? Look, I didn't know what I was saying. I was being honest about it, all right? You get off my back. You're lying, two-faced pony soldier. But they got it finally. And it was very impressive to see. But with
That was impressive. I like to see it.
But with that, it's time for us to move on and into the next clip. Down in Kherson, where we were able to see a Russian radar was destroyed today. It is a 1L119 Nebo SVU radar station that was destroyed today. A very expensive one. Very significant. Oof. And was completely...
They mangled that one up pretty good, too. Like that. Look, go back to that one photo. Man, that thing got mangled bad.
Cooked, mangled, shredded. Truly treated to...
How expensive is that, by the way? That sounds like it might be something that's pretty pricey. A Nebo SVU radar station.
Let me go find out.
It's also got a diesel power plant. I think that might be something different, but still, the radar station looks expensive.
How
much does it cost, Blian?
Do you know how much it costs? Let me see. Let's see here. They cost around 100 million a piece.
Whoa, $100 million. That's actually a very valuable system. Then that's very steep actually. So that was a big loss.
That's about the cost of 3 Su-35s. Just to put that into perspective, that they lost in this one system getting hit. So a very significant loss. But the scrap value is about $50. Take it or leave it. But moving on from that now, the Kherson region, it's now time for us to move up to Kyiv and listen to the speech from President Volodymyr Zelenskyy here on this very day of the war. And once again, he's putting out a short-lasting speech. But nevertheless, here is the speech. Peach!
Peach!
Бажаю здоров'я, шановні українці, українки. Щойно підписав указ, який надає силу рішенню РНБО про санкції. Блокуємо пропагандистів, які працюють на Росії, осіб, які перейшли на сторону ворога, і тих, хто допомагає Росії продовжувати війну. Також ми продовжуємо позбавляти державних нагород. Названня Герой України заслуговують тільки ті, хто дійсно життя присвячує Україні. Ми готуємо зараз і нові санкційні рішення. Будуть вони незабаром. Сьогодні ж буде кілька призначень. Перше, в застосунку «Армія Плюс» завершилось опитування щодо нового керівника Національної академії сухопутних військ імені Сагайдачного. Важливо, що це рішення ухвалюється разом з нашими військовими. Головком та командувач сухопутних військ запропонували 5 кандидатів. Це бригадні генерали Сергій Баранов та Михайло Сидоренко. Це полковники Євген Ласійчук, Олександр Бакулін та Роман Качур. Найбільше голосів набрав саме полковник Роман Качур. Він добре знає фронт, він командував 55-ю окремою артилерійською бригадою. Я говорив з полковником Качуром. Він має бачення того, що змінити у військовій освіті і конкретно в Національній академії сухопутних військ. Доручив йому представити суспільству, що зміниться в академії, провести аудит в академії, повноцінний аудит і того, як фінансується, і того, як навчаються курсанти, і того, хто хто працює в академії. Доручив міністру оборони України Умєрову призначити полковника Качера на посаду начальника академії. Нам потрібна максимально якісна підготовка наших воїнів, наших офіцерів і підготовка на основі досвіду цієї війни, на основі героїзму українських хлопців на фронті. Українській армії потрібні лідери тактичної ланки, сильні сержанти, сильні лейтенанти. Я дякую всім нашим воїнам, які взяли участь в опитуванні. І ми продовжимо за допомогою Армії Плюс і інших цифрових інструментів нашої держави залучати наших людей до ухвалення державних рішень. І друге призначення. Бригадний генерал Геннадій Шаповалов працюватиме з нашими партнерами у Візбадені. Його завдання – це координація безпекової допомоги Україні. Слава Україні!
And Herom Slava. And with that, that is the end of the speech from President Volodymyr Zelenskyy. And that's going to be moving us right on into the second segment of the stream where we get to talk to each and every one of you. And I got to say that we are incredibly honored and very well appreciative of knowing that each and every one of y'all continues to find this channel to be your primary source of news. And I got to thank you all so much once again for watching tonight because it seems as though a lot of people have been here. I'm not blind, but 9,000 people is a lot of people. And I got to thank you all once again for being here and enjoying this stream tonight because if it wasn't for folks like y'all, we wouldn't have been able to make this thing possible way back in the day. We wouldn't be able to make it possible tonight. And I got to give a massive shout out to everyone who supported the fundraiser tonight as well, because y'all have been absolute legends, each and every one of you. And so with that, Matthew, I understand that we have a massive and a long-lasting question segment ahead of us. It will be lasting at least 30 to 40 minutes. And Matthew, take it away. What do we got?
All right, so it's now time for the last question segment of the night, the long-lasting segment. But of course, up first, we do have some things to get to before we get to our questions. And we have to call off our two remaining last top donors of the night. And those donors are Dad Good, who put in a 50, and also Axel K, who also put in a 50 as well, and helped to bring us up to $3,483 raised, which is about almost $1,000 above the original goal, which is tremendous to see yet again. And seriously, folks, a huge shout out for that, because once again, we just had a massive fundraiser last Sunday for the California wildfires, and that was like a $23,000 fundraiser for that, and now we've had $1,000 plus above the goal on the Ukrainian one as well. So that's tremendous to see once again, and a huge shout out to everybody that donated, and even the people that did not donate. You can simply smack the like button and help get the stream out there further, and that will be a big help as well. But Enforcer, what say you?
I gotta say that it was an absolutely amazing fundraiser that we had tonight, and once again, in context of the fundraiser that we had last week that raised $23,000, we didn't expect this fundraiser to be that big because most people went all out on last weekend's fundraiser. But I gotta thank all of you once again for y'all support and helping this channel to keep on supporting causes around the world in support of American and Western interests, because y'all continue to show that the Lee Spring Army will always continue to support and back up Western interests around the world, no matter where they are, what they may be, or how long they may be going on. It's absolutely an amazing thing, and I got to give you all a huge thanks once again. And so with that, Matthew, I understand that we have a question about Iran's reactors. What do we got?
Yes, we do have a question about that. The poll says Iran announces a plan to build a Russian nuclear reactor in southern Iran, and what to make of this. 67% said it's a cover for weapons research, while 13% said it's actually a nuclear power plant, and 12% said it's a cover for deepening Russian ties. And on this one, I would say it is likely a cover for weapons research, because there's no reason for Iran to be building brand new nuclear reactors like this. And also, Enforcer, where is the nuclear research site for weaponry? Where is that located? Isn't that also in southern Iran?
That is somewhere around south central Iran near Isfahan.
And where, they said southern Iran. Let me go back and check and see exactly where this nuclear plant was supposed to be being built, because I think it might be within the proximity of it, actually. So let me go look. Let's see here. And also, if you happen to have that post handier, like that would... Oh, here it is. Never mind. Got it. Let's see here. It said it was going to be inside of Iran, southern Iran. And it said, let's see here, starting construction as soon as possible.
There's already a pre-existing facility that has one running reactor.
Interesting. So they said the Bushehr, like pull that up real quick. Bushehr nuclear power plant.
Foreign workers swimming beach. The hell? It's
what?
like
they're trying to get the foreign workers killed, apparently.
Okay, so here's Bushehr, the town. Okay, so
Interesting.
where is the reactor?
Zoom out for a second, and let's see where like the
Wait a minute.
Isfahan area
Here it is. Here it is. It's here. This is it.
Interesting.
And you can see the second one being built right here. There it is. So, with this in mind, we've now found the two. Now, let's zoom out. Man, I gotta tell you, man. I don't mean to say this on air, man. But you know how I was telling you about how that nerve snapped in my leg, like right when I was getting the stream ready, and it like really, really hurt?
Uh-huh.
Whenever I move that leg around in a certain way, now my knee hurts like hell. I don't know what happened to my leg before the show, but I've been dealing with it the entire time tonight. But anyways, there's the Bushehr nuclear power plant. We found it. So let's zoom out. I'm keeping my mouse on it. It's a very good ways away from Isfahan. It may as well be as far away as Tehran.
So no correlation between where that is and the other one. But of course, if they simply wanted to take nuclear material back to the research facility, they could simply truck it there or fly it there, one or the other. So it's not nearby. So that disproves that theory that I had. But it looks like, of course, to me, I would say, honestly, this is probably not for power reasons. It's probably for weapons research or also trying to get nuclear material of some sort from the reactor, probably a byproduct or something. But that's just me. But Enforcer, what say you?
I'd have to say it most likely is a cover for uranium enrichment, most likely. That's what I would assume. Or it's a cover-up for them to continue production of enriched uranium materials elsewhere in the country and explain it away as we are creating fuel rods for our new reactors. That's most likely what I would be believing at this point. But also, this beach for the foreign workers looks like crap. Like, this is bad.
Also, who's the foreign workers coming to work at the nuclear power plant in Iran, by the way? Who's that? Russians?
Yeah, I guess it's the Russians, because the Russians are really the only ones who work on these projects with the Iranians. What does the normal beach look like? Well, what is this right over here? What is this? I ask. Okay, that's an inch. It's a literal like chunk from like like I've never
Kinda
seen
like kind of junky, kind of like the ship, kind of looks like it.
Dude, this one's
Whoa.
got the long bow. They said, what other optional customizations would you like? Long bow. And then they put the long bow. Oh my lord. All of them are built like that.
Yeah, they must have bought these from China or something, because they do have a resemblance to a junk.
They do. They really do. Also, let's see if we can see anything else around here. Because you know how Iran actually has the pictures of stuff around Iran. So what is this? Oh, that's actually pretty neat.
That's the Yardang Park.
Man, Yardang Just like, man. Let's see. What's actually in the town? So they have a hotel here. No picture of the hotel, mind you. So it's a pretty bad one. Roach Motel for sure. What about this one? Oh, that's
What the hell?
unique. What the hell?
Huh. It looks like something that would be on Airbnb or something.
It really does. How much does it cost to stay here at night? No prices listed. It has a 3.7 star because sometimes you might just get kidnapped in your sleep. Also, they have the Naku Hotel, which actually has the best ratings in the area. Okay. Well, you know, it's very interesting to see how hotels are designed in Iran, because you actually have one bed for the main guy, and then you have all of the beds for the side women. So that's fairly interesting to see that, like, actually exist in a hotel room. I've never seen that before. This guy is observing all of the fine china. Do not touch, you will go to prison.
That's like one of those like traditional like Holiday Inn style like free breakfasts or something over there. Look just like it.
Dude, also I like their bathroom. It's like shower, middle of the room. Shit, middle of the room. It's like not even on the wall. Like the toilet isn't even on the wall. It's just in the middle of the room. It's like a Pittsburgh shitter. Like it's no joke. It legitimately is like that.
Also, why is the water like reservoir so thin? Like if it ever holds any water.
Yeah, it really does look like. Look at that. Man, this is crazy. This is oh wait, hang on. Do you know what a Pittsburgh shitter is?
No, I have no clue. I've never even heard of that.
Hang on, let me go pull it up for you. It's a special kind of a house design thing. Let's see here. Yeah, there we go. I knew I had it right. So, in Pittsburgh houses, there's this thing called the Pittsburgh toilet, or more aptly claimed to be the Pittsburgh shitter. Basically what it is it's just a toilet that they put in the middle of the basement of every house. Like, it's just in the middle. There's nothing around it or anything. It actually is a functional toilet, mind you. But you usually only find this in houses in Pittsburgh.
That's I can't even fathom why you'd want a toilet just out in the middle of the thing.
Here's another
look
one.
at that! It's another one. It's in the corner.
Here's
What's
another
the
one.
purpose? What's the purpose behind it, or something?
I think the purpose has been lost to time. I don't even think anyone knows why this is the case, but they just keep building houses like that in Pittsburgh for large part. I think some of them are moving away from it, but this is like a very specific to Pittsburgh kind of thing.
This is like I'm not gonna lie. It kind of has like the vibes of like a torture center or something down here or something.
Well, I mean,
Looks a little bit. It looks a little sus. You wouldn't catch me wandering around down there.
dude, look at the look at the Wikipedia article on it.
Also, why are all the toilets so nasty though? The Pittsburgh shitters. It's like, what is it a requirement for it to look nasty?
No, this one's in Cleveland, Ohio. Interestingly enough, so this is like a rare outlier. Like they took the Pittsburgh design with them. But
Looks like a crackhead hangout.
kind of does. But let's see here. Let me see if they have an explanation. It consists of an ordinary flush toilet with no surrounding walls. They're paired with a crude basement shower apparatus and large sink, which often doubles as a laundry room. The most popular explanation for the toilet, because no one actually knows why they do this, is related to Pittsburgh's status as a major industrial city in the 20th century. According to this explanation, toilets such as these were said to be used by steelworkers and miners who, grimy from the day's labor, could use an exterior door to enter the basement directly from outside and use the basement shower and toilet before heading upstairs. Alternatively, they may have served to prevent sewage backups from flooding the living areas of the homes. As sewage backups tend to flood the lowest fixture in a residence, a Pittsburgh toilet would be the fixture to overflow, containing the sewage leak in the basement. So those seem to be the best answers that they have. But I'm a little bit, I gotta be honest with y'all here. I'm a little bit iffy about this being a good answer, because as y'all know, there's no such thing as a Manchester shitter, which was the industrial city of Britain. There's only such a thing as the Pittsburgh shitter. I don't really know why they did that. Like, I don't think anyone really has a good answer for that. This is just a good running theory right now, but no one knows why they started to build this in the middle of. But anyways, they have one in this hotel because it's in the middle of the floor. It's like not even close to the wall or like towards the back wall. It's literally just sitting in the middle of the floor.
Interesting. Yeah, it's just really sitting there. Although this is a much nicer looking place once you look at these other Pittsburgh toilet crappers. It's looking nicer.
I'm not gonna lie, they have somewhat. These are tripping hazards, though. They have somewhat okay hotels in Iran. I'll give them that. They don't look that bad, but I think these are like the best hotels in the area because some of them don't even show. Like this one, which is Arabic H. It's this.
Oh, oh man, that's the hotel. When you go on the bad side, you go to the room here.
Dude, your average apartment in New York City. Like, it's like, I'm just kidding.
Oh
by the way.
no, this is not your average apartment. This is like 20 times the square footage of your average apartment.
Like this one doesn't even have pictures, and it only has one review, and it doesn't even say anything. So we are.
That was the owner.
Yeah, most likely. Let's see. Hang on, they have a hospital. Huh.
What does Iranian healthcare look like? They're really into landscaping. I'll give them that.
Let's see here.
Wait a minute. What was in that fridge? Go up and look at the fridge for a second.
Oh,
they've got Fanta, Sprite, Pepsi, the devil's drink.
Inshallah, this is not halal. like this is
no.
Let's see.
Also, what else they got down there? They got a little bit of that hype.
they got that glory. They got that black wolf. Like, they got that power, strength.
They got that down there in the left corner.
Man,
right, left corner. I don't know what the hell I'm saying.
Let's see. Yeah. I see it. Yeah. Let's see. Dang, dude, I don't know if this is a hospital or a grocery store because it looks like they're selling more than they're healing. But let's see. What else is in this? Dude, I always get interested. Wait a minute. The Risha here or Leon Old City. Well, what is this? No pictures. Okay, well, that's cool. What else do they have in this town? Happy Geld Coffee Shop. No pictures. Boucher's Ferris Wheel. Huh.
Why does every place want a Ferris wheel? Like, why were the Soviets so into that? Everywhere just wants a Ferris wheel. And then London kind of got in that to a second. They put one there too. It's like, you know, I'm not like a huge Ferris wheel person. To be honest, I don't really like them. It's like you go around the wheel and you get stuck at the top. What happens then? You're stuck. Like you can't get down.
Oh my god. Dude,
this right here looks like what would happen if the Contemporary Hotel in Disney didn't quite make it.
Dude, you know what this looks like? It looks like that compound down in Montgomery, Alabama that those attorneys hang out in. You know, that's like bomb-proof and stuff. I forgot the freaking name of it, but it looks kind of like that, like with the shape and everything.
Yeah, a little bit, a little bit. It reminds me of the contemporary bit.
Man, it's ugly though. Like it's. Huh, that's interesting. Got a giant crystal chandelier, man. It looks like they may have talked to Duplantis. I got 20 chandeliers. But let's see here. Let's see. Oh, okay.
Hey, he's styling out here, stunting on him.
Man, he's styling. He's like, I may live in a dictatorship, but it ain't gonna stop me from wearing these threads. Like, it's like, man, get it, man. Like, it's like
that Iranian drip. Look at that view. Man, this is like it's kind of like has a little bit of a like North Korean thing going on.
It really does, though. Like it actually feels pretty. Look at this, man. This guy sitting there, he's saying, "What are those?" He's like, "What are those?" Like,
he's pointing at that dude stunting down the street, talking, "Look at that! Look at them! Look!"
Man, he's saying, "Look at the vision, the passion, the mindset." Like he's like up there in awe of this man. But yeah, this is an interesting place for sure. I don't know why we were spending so long on this. But I'm always distracted by what these places look like. I don't really look at them much beyond being here on air. So, what is this? Seafood farm. Well, it looks like it's dried up to me. I don't think they're farming a lot of seafood in here because there isn't much sea. There's no food and very little sea. But anyways, with that, why in the world did that almost come off as a Popeye thing, Matthew? I went, wow, very little food, not enough sea. Wow, something like that. Like it's like. But anyways, with that, it is time for us to move on into some actual questions. So with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so first up, let's get the Morse code decoders. Tonight we had Cliff Simonson, Mark Hodges, Earl Bernew, Kevin J, Paul Schultz, David Millsaps, Roy Fluffiness, Arabelle Garbo, and Joni Dog. They said the LSA Morse code decipher says, Russia's that kind of goofiness about them that makes them cartoonishly evil, LLT LSA.
And that's the sound of money. And y'all got that dent on the nail. That was the Morse code message of the night. I got to congratulate y'all for getting that correct time and time again, because y'all always, without fail, are making sure to impress everyone with y'all's Morse code decoding abilities. And so with that, I hope that does address that incredibly well, and we are on to the next one.
All right. So before we move on to our first question here, I just want to ask the audience a question. This was something I just saw in the news, and I'm not going to run a poll on it, at least for now, unless it gets really popular or something like that. But apparently, the United States is planning on building an Iron Dome system similar to what Israel has right here in the domestic 50 states. I just saw that right now. So apparently, that'll be obviously a much larger system than what Israel has because we're covering much more space. But apparently that will be something that comes true here in the next couple of years. So very interesting. I'm not really sure what we're defending against with an Iron Dome. Is typically that's reserved for, I believe, just regular missiles. We already have the system to shoot down the nukes coming in, so I'm not sure what this is for. But I guess it's good for something. Maybe Canada or Mexico is going to lob something at us. But Enforcer, what do you think?
Why? Why would we do that? What? That is a massive waste of funds. If it was a strategic form of the Iron Dome that was able to intercept intercontinental missiles, that would make sense. But they're literally talking about an Iron Dome that protects you from mortars and rocket fire. The United States isn't under mortar and rocket fire to even have one of those, much less a nationwide system. So what is the point? I don't even get it. That sounds like a waste of funding to me. They're about to hand it over to that guy who did that briefing that went viral on Twitter where he's like, look at that Chinese plane. That thing is big and it's triangular, scary and dangerous. They've outdone us. And it's going to be like, oh no. But I don't even get that.
I'm guessing if I was searching for some justification for it, hypothetically speaking, the only reason where that would make sense to me to install an Iron Dome system in the U.S. would be if we think that Cuba is going to be used as a point that China might launch missiles into the U.S. if we ever went to war with them. Or maybe we're thinking that maybe there's some people in Mexico that might be armed with some missiles that might attack the United States if we went to war with Russia or China. Maybe, but Canada's obviously not going to be a launching ground for anything. Canada's on our side, and they don't really have the problem that Cuba would have or Mexico. So, but that would depend on having that intel, though. If you don't have intel indicating that's the case, that's a lot of money to spend without knowing that for a fact. So hopefully they have some intel. Otherwise, it seems like a waste.
Let me go to the true size map really quickly, and let me show y'all something, because I just want to point out the stupidity of that kind of an idea. Okay, let's get Israel. There we go. Yeah. Okay, so let's put this here. So, as you all know, Hamas fires rockets into Israel. And also Hamas, also, let's see, Hamas and Hezbollah do that. So let's put Israel here. So Miami is in the Golan Heights. And down here, near the port of Eilat, is pretty much central Cuba. So let's put that into mind. The Iron Dome system protects these people living in this tiny country from small rockets that have practically no range. Now, we want to build an Iron Dome system to protect the entirety of the United States. So that means that the system that protects this little area that only covers Fort Myers and the Cape Canaveral area, and also a little bit of Orlando, is supposed to cover the entirety of the United States, which is this size. That makes no sense, like, at all. And we also do not have any threats that would make it so to where that would be an efficient kind of an investment. Not only that, for missiles to be fired from Cuba into the U.S., they would have to be large enough that we would pretty much need a Patriot to shoot them down. So I don't even know what the point of this is, rather than wasting military funding on a pointless project. That's what it sounds like to me. And I feel like military funding should be diverted into better areas of more considerable use, like building a modern navy, instead of wasting money on a pointless defense system that never would be used.
And also, we already have like rapid response U.S. Air Force fighter squadrons that are specifically tasked with this purpose. They can quickly launch and shoot stuff down if it starts flying in. So there's already a solution kind of to this. And I was checking here. I was trying to read through this article to see exactly what the idea behind this was, because it looks like the War Zone also pointed out that a normal, like, Israeli-style air defense system like the Iron Dome would really not be applicable here in the United States. So I was trying to read here and see what the idea behind it was. Let's see here. Let me do a quick scan. I'm scanning down toward the bottom here. Let's see here. So it looks like it's being described literally as an Israeli-style Iron Dome system. And the amount of launchers that would be required for this, and also the amount of radar components, would probably be massive to try to cover as much as border as the United States has. Let's see here. This is a really wordy article, by the way, trying to get a gist of it. You know, maybe hypothetically speaking, because I can't scan the article that fast, maybe the Iron Dome system is designed to shoot down ICBMs or IRBMs, maybe. Maybe that's the reason behind it, but they're not describing it like that. So maybe it's just a miscommunication or something was lost in the translation. But if it's not, then, you know, I don't see the purpose.
Also, another thing, none of this makes any sense, because some people are like, well, maybe it's just supposed to be like a bigger version. But we already have that. We already have a large amount, like most of the Patriot air defense systems and THAADs in the world are in the United States right now, inside of the country. They can be deployed in emergency scenarios to act as air defense for the mainland United States, as well as Alaska, Hawaii, and overseas territories. We already have that in place. So what they're saying right now, there's no typo here at all, because we already have an existing air defense system for threats that could affect the United States, like an intermediate range ballistic missile or a short range ballistic missile being fired into the country. We already have that down pat. So what's being stated here is that we're going to create a system that protects us from mortars and rockets when the United States would never in any instance be fired upon by mortars and rockets. Like, if you wanted to put money into something, maybe an ICBM interceptor, maybe, or you want to put it into rebuilding the Navy up to a modern standard across the board. But with what they're saying right now, we're going to pump a load of money into a useless government project. And I'm not being political here or anything by saying this, but that is a completely pointless and frivolous pursuit of military funding and expenditure. Of course, that's not being done by the military. It sounds like it's being done in another circle, and then the military will have to follow through with it. But that is absolutely goofy. Makes no sense at all.
Also, it looks like all the comments below the article, I just happened to scroll down and see them. It looks like basically everybody's saying the same thing that we're saying. So, you know, this is a pretty obvious one here, that this really is probably something that's not worthwhile. I could only imagine. Also, by the way, how much did Israel's Iron Dome system cost? Let's get an idea of how many times we'd have to multiply that to make that work here in the United States, like what the cost would be.
Let's see here. Well, each missile cost about 40 to 50 grand. Let's see here.
See.
So it's 50 million per battery.
System cost.
So it costs about 500 million to get the batteries, and then it costs about $100,000 to $150,000 per interception. So they're a very expensive system for the size of area that they cover.
Let's see. So it says here the total cost of Israel firing all of its interceptors is around $48 million. So that's firing the interceptors. That's not the system itself. So let's see here.
Well, each battery costs 50 million.
Is that the missiles or the battery itself?
The battery itself. It costs 50 million.
And how many batteries do they have?
10. So they have about $500 million worth of batteries.
Okay, and that okay. So how many times would we have to multiply that?
Probably hundreds. I mean, like, if we're talking about every single part of the United States outside of its coastal borders, I believe the United States is multiple hundreds times the size of Israel. So you would have to spend an exorbitant amount of money to be able to create enough of those to cover the entirety of the United States.
Yeah, that would be a lot. I guess if you just put them down there at the, I guess you could say the southern border, that would maybe be like the most logical case. But even at that, though, that's really not an Iron Dome because the theory behind the Iron Dome is it creates a shield above your country. So that wouldn't really create a shield; it just create a border defense. So I don't know. Sounds to me like some posturing or something like that, to put it lightly.
I'd say this whole system is pointless. And I saw someone say, "We're exposed." No, we're not. Like, no, we're not. The United States is completely isolated from threats like that around the world. The Russians aren't going to be firing. Like, you're not going to be hearing some United 24 style commentator saying, "The Russians have fired MLRS rockets into the city of Seattle." They're never even going to get to that point. So what's the point of having a point defense system like that when that kind of a situation will never exist? No one can even imagine undertaking the naval effort to make it all the way to the main 48 or the lower 48 or even Alaska or Hawaii and launch a naval invasion that would be successful. There's no way that anyone can do that even in the modern age right now. It's impossible. So
I just thought of something because I just something clicked in my head. Because for this to be something being touted around, and honestly, based on the sounds of the article I was reading, it doesn't sound like the military really has any objections to it. Not that they object to spending money; they love spending money. That's part of the game. But maybe with these drone sightings that we're seeing across the United States, maybe that's the reason why the Iron Dome might be needed. Maybe there's some intel that maybe the drones are being flown by foreign actors that we're seeing across the skies. And that if they were to turn hostile all of a sudden, then we would need something to shoot those down. That would be something the Iron Dome could shoot down, would be the drones.
Maybe, but why wouldn't you just invest in modern laser systems? The United States has a usable laser. Why in the world would we want to spend loads of money on a missile interceptor system, considering that those are going to be obsolete with the advent of the advanced lasers that we're starting to introduce now?
I mean, it would be cheaper per shot to do the laser, but maybe that's just not like feasible right now to manufacture enough of them. Maybe they want to go with a more traditional system just to play it safe.
Well, I mean, like the laser systems that we're seeing today are very effective. The British, the South Koreans, really everyone in the world at this point has shown that they are highly effective. And we also have our own as well. And I think that there's no better way to really prove a technology than to just start mass producing it and then iron out the kinks as you go. And it wouldn't be that hard to iron out the kinks in a laser system. It would just be minute adjustments to certain kinds of operating components inside of it, and it would work incredibly well. So I think that would be probably the best way forward. And also, it's incredibly cheap. And also, I don't know what it is with this one person. They're like, "Whoa, what the hell? You mean leave the borders open?" Listen, when the hell has anyone bombed the United States from Mexico? Never. Like, ever. Like, yeah, hitmen cross the border here and there, but they rarely ever do. And second, the other thing is that Mexico is not North Korea, and we're not about to go to war with Mexico anytime soon. They're the biggest trading partner of the United States, so it doesn't really make a lot of sense to go, "You know what, we're exposed to our biggest trading partner. We need to build up air." Like, that doesn't make any sense at all, and Mexico hardly even has a military, so what are we defending against? And I know a lot of people are going to go, "Well, the cartels are really powerful," but it's not like the cartels are that powerful to the point we have to build an Israeli-style Iron Dome across multiple thousands of miles of border like they're going to launch a full ground invasion of America next week. And also, that doesn't really make a lot of sense either, because the cartel would be invading their biggest customer, which would not be good for business. So who in the world's going to be attacking the United States for that to be necessary? That doesn't make sense. And now they're saying ICBMs from Russia? No, the Iron Dome doesn't defend against that. I know you're grasping at straws at this point. The Iron Dome defends against mortars and rockets, not an intercontinental ballistic missile. Like if the Iron Dome was truly the magic be-all, catch-all, then everyone would just use an Iron Dome, but that's not the case. Everyone uses different systems that are larger, have more range, can intercept greater targets, because the Iron Dome quite truly is Pee Wee Herman of the missile interception world. That thing is tiny. It hardly is able to intercept anything, and it has a very short range. It's great in Israel because the people that attack Israel have practically nothing, and they're firing off bottle rockets at the Israelis. So the Iron Dome is perfectly suited to shooting down bottle rockets. But for the threats that the United States would be facing, which would be actual real rockets and missiles from a real adversary, the Iron Dome is completely pointless for our purposes. So I hope that addresses that well at this point. And with that, we are on to the next one.
All right, so we are now jumping back into our live chat questions, and our first one here goes to John Doe Crypto. Crypto, and it's good to see you, John. He said, "What happened to the drones? I quit following it all of a sudden, and it seemed to be replaced in the news. And is it still going on?" And yes, it is still going on. For some reason, the mainstream news is not covering it anymore, but the governors in the areas where the drone sightings were happening are still saying that it's still happening, and they want federal government help. They're still saying that, and we should have a report on that in a couple of days, according to what some people have said in the federal government. So maybe we'll find out what it is in a couple of days, or maybe we won't. There's no telling at this point. But Enforcer, what say you?
I would have to say, can you reread that one again?
They said, what happened to those drones? What happened to it on the news?
They're still being cited. I don't really follow it that much because we just have other things to cover. And apparently there will be some information released on them here soon, at least according to what some people are saying. But I'm honestly doubting that. But beyond that, I hope that does answer that well. And we are on to the third to last question of the night.
And this one is going to go to, let's see here, member of something here. They said, has drone strikes on petrol refining facilities resulted in rationing?
We have not seen a rationing regimen brought forward yet in the Russian Federation over the oil attacks. It appears that they're trying to not cause a panic in the Russian Federation by creating an oil rationing system, because that would start to greatly slow the economy. So we have not seen a rationing system set up yet, but we're expecting that one will be set up before the wars end, because they will start to run out of fuel resources that quickly. And so with that, I hope that does address that the best I can. And with that, we are on to the second to last question of the night.
And this one is going to go to Ambrester, who says, I got a question for you, Matt. And if Russia somehow did take Kursk city, how do you think Russia would respond?
Russia would probably respond very mundanely. That's really the best way I could put it. I don't think there would be any kind of a major response. It would be very quiet, because they'd be wanting to downplay the fact that Ukraine took a major city in Russia's south. So I have a feeling that they probably wouldn't play it up a lot, but that would really start to probably move them towards the nuclear realm, because for Ukraine to take Kursk, the Russian military would have had to have completely collapsed in this area to the point that they quite literally ceased to exist. They had practically all been killed off at that point. So with that, I hope that does address that the best I can. And also, please no politics, folks. I keep on seeing folks bringing in politics. I don't know if it's like inauguration jitters or something like that, but please no politics in the chat. The rules are the rules. And so far tonight, I'll let y'all know. Matthew, I believe, usually just removes the comments. I put timeouts on comments that are political. So please just make sure to be observant of that. Those are the rules of the channel. Listen, I don't make them. I actually do. And then I enforce them, because it keeps the chat civil and it makes sure that people don't devolve into some sort of a cesspit like you see around the remainder of the internet. But with that, I hope that make sure to remind everyone that politics is not a thing we do here on this channel or talk about that much. And with that, we are on to the final question of the night. And so who is the lucky last person to throw in the lucky last question of the night?
And that viewer is going to be Andrew Honeycutt, who says, I agree with what you said about pushing Putin into a corner, but is there any choice left? And there's an interesting parallel between the failed Austrian painter and Putin.
I would not think that there's any choices really left. We do have to push him into a corner. Both Matthew and my plan were largely pushing Putin into a corner in different ways, and I was open to still trying to negotiate at the end. Matthew was wanting him to be overthrown, and that was it. And then we combined the plans, because that seems to be the best option. But nevertheless, I would say that we do have to push him into a corner. There's really no other alternative at this point, because they've made it very clear that they're not open to reason, they're not open to normal negotiations and dialogue over a peace in Ukraine. So with that, I hope that does address that the best I can, at least in my opinion. And with that, we have reached the end of tonight's stream. And I got to thank each and every one of y'all once again for watching. It's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to be able to run the stream for all 9,000 of y'all who were here tonight at the peak, and the 60,000 people who have watched so far in only 2.5 hours. Of course, I gotta say that we're entirely honored and appreciative that so many of y'all have continued to watch this channel and enjoy it throughout the years. And if y'all have enjoyed it tonight, please make sure to subscribe, make sure to like and comment, because we are here every single day of the week, except for tomorrow. Mondays we take off. But every other day, we are always on a live stream running this news day in and day out. And I got to thank you all so much once again for watching, and we will see you all on Tuesday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time to cover the next 24 hours of the news of the war in Ukraine. And also today was Matthew's day to make a news summary. He didn't make one. We didn't have enough news in the middle of the day. But considering that I will be off doing stuff tomorrow, if there is enough news to be able to make a video, y'all will actually be hearing, crazily enough, from Enforcer Matt on both tomorrow and the next day on any breaking news that may happen in the middle of the day. And so with that, I will see you all on Tuesday. Good night, good luck, take care, stay safe, Slava Ukraini, and long live the Lee Spring Army. The Lee Spring Army will never die.
And with that, folks, once again, huge thanks for another successful fundraiser tonight with a total of $3,537 being raised. It was another big one, and we do sincerely appreciate the LSA for making that happen and also helping out Ukraine once again. But with that, folks, we will see you all on Tuesday night at 10 p.m. Eastern. And also, like the Enforcer said, I'll be talking to you all midday tomorrow if there is enough news to cover. And maybe there will be, maybe there won't. I have a feeling there's going to be a lot of news probably tomorrow coming out of various regions. But with that, folks, thank you all to the 60,000 people that joined us tonight. And with that, Slava Ukraine, Heroam Slava, get some rest, and good night.
Army shall stand.